before this crowd that may number 80,000 in the sold-out Orange Bowl. Well, as we mentioned, Bear Bryant kept his team at home at Tuscaloosa. He wants a victory. This is his 23rd bowl trip. His Alabama teams have not won in their last 7 bowls, losing 6 and tying 1. And also at stake tonight, of course, the number 1 rating and the MacArthur Bowl. Alabama, the only undefeated and untied team. Of course, we should mention Oklahoma, but they're on suspension. A ding-dong battle, of course, a year ago in the Sugar Bowl, the victory for Notre Dame 24-23 over Alabama. Alabama undefeated 11-0, Paul.
Well, it's going to be a very interesting game for one reason. The wishbone is basically a running offense. And Notre Dame is number 1 defensively in total defense in the country. They are also number 1 against the rushing defense. So it's going to be very interesting defensively in this football game, and that's exactly what we're going to see because Alabama is also 5th in total defense in the country. But I think the big thing with this wishbone offense is the fact that you hardly can get behind. You can't get behind because they don't have, as I said before, a passing attack, and they want to stay ahead. And I think defensively for Alabama, the big thing is to stop Notre Dame on the first down situation.
The 2 teams, the Irish and the Crimson Tide, on the field. Back with the opening kickoff in 1 minute.
Now another tip you may want to try, brought to you by Exxon.
Here's a great way to keep soft drinks cold when you're having a party for the children. Use your washing machine as a cooler. That's right, your washing machine. Just unplug it, then stack all the bottles or cans of soda pop in the wash tub and cover them up with ice cubes. Makes a wonderful cooler and saves space in your refrigerator for the cake and the party favors.
That could come in handy when you've got more party pop than you know what to do with. Your Exxon retailer hopes this tip will help you sometime, because helping people is what good service is all about. For example, when your car starts making an odd noise or acting a little strangely, ask your Exxon retailer about it. He sees a lot of cars, so chances are he can give you some good ideas about what could be wrong, and he may even be able to fix it on the spot. So drive in and ask him. He's there to help you, under the Exxon sign.
On the field below, the Fighting Irish are in white. Their golden helmets and gold football pants. The Crimson Tide in the crimson red jerseys, white football pants, the red helmets, and white numerals. We're getting set for the toss of the coin. Let's introduce the officials to you. The referee is Robert Fallon. The headlinesman is Jim Langhurst. The back judge is Donald Hakes. The umpire, Harold Johnson. The line judge, Butch Lambert. The field judge is Armin Keto. The timekeeper, Dick Pace. The Notre Dame co-captains being introduced. Alabama with 5 men out on the field. Ricky Davis, Randy Billingsley among them. Mike DeVos, Ronnie Robertson, and Sylvester Kroom. We have Tom Clements, along with Greg Collins, on the field for Notre Dame. Quite a story about Collins, the fine linebacker, an All-American. He has been injured after a motorcycle accident. Alabama will kick off. Notre Dame to receive. They'll defend the goal to our right. We are operating from high above the Orange Bowl that seats 80,010. Orange Bowl 75, the 41st annual game. Alabama's Crimson Tide under Coach Bear Bryant, 61 years old, a native of Fordyce, Arkansas. And the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame being coached for the last time by 51-year-old Ara Parsegian, a native of Akron, Ohio. Bucky Berry will be the man who will kick the football off to put it in play. We can expect Clements at quarterback for Notre Dame. Pennick, Samuel, and Bullock in their backfield. Mark Brenneman, their fine center, who's had just 2 days of practice after a hairline fracture and coming out of a cast less than a week ago, will start at center. Wujciak and DiNardo expected at the guards, Neese and Sylvester at the tackles, Demerly the split end, McAfee the tight end. Back to receive, Al Samuel and Ron Goodman for the Irish. They're set at the goal line to the right. Bucky Berry, a sophomore from Montgomery, Alabama, ready to put the football in play. We hope you'll enjoy this 1975 Orange Bowl game wherever you are around the world tonight. The officials check and are poised and ready to put these two fine football teams into play. Here he comes to the football. A kick down the middle. It is short. And coming with it is Goodman over the 20, 25, to the 30, 35, just tripped up at the last moment by Thad Flanagan. Flanagan just saved a touchdown on the opening kickoff.
But Jay, if Flanagan doesn't stop Goodman, he's got a touchdown. There was absolutely no one near him when he broke to the outside. He came up the middle, took it a little bit to his right, and he was wide open, and Flanagan saved the touchdown.
A 30-yard kickoff return. The Fighting Irish put it in play at the 38-yard line. They have sideline to the right, open field to the left. The handoff going to Wayne Bullock. Bullock is over the 40 and out to the 44-yard line where he is stopped by Ron Robertson, the strong side linebacker for Alabama. A pickup on the play of 4 yards. It'll be second down and 6. Opening moment here in the Orange Bowl. Demerly is split to the left side, and the handoff up the middle to Bullock. Bullock averaged 4.2 per carry, the big fullback. 855 yards on the season. He's stopped by Conley Duncan, a junior from Hartsville, Alabama, who starts as the weak side linebacker. It'll bring up third down and 2.
And it's not surprising to me that Notre Dame will run to their right to Alabama's left, because in the game against Auburn moved the ball down the field for a score against Alabama's left side of their defensive line.
They set the wingman out on the left side. Going there is Bullock again, and he is stopped just short of the first down. Again, it is Conley Duncan who starts at the weak side linebacker in place of Woodrow Lowe for the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Tony Brantley, a junior from Oklahoma City, averaging 39.6, will come on to do the punting for Notre Dame. Notre Dame moving it out to the 47-yard line. Willie Shelby, who can really fly, averaging 9.8 per punt return, is set to our left as we look at it with you back at the 13-yard line, set to receive from Brantley. The rush is on. The kick is almost blocked. It is a short kick to the far side going out of bounds. The kicking game so often is important. Leroy Cook, the man who was coming in to put pressure on the punter. And Alabama will open play after a 19-yard punt with no return as it went out of bounds to the far side. Alabama will start from their own 34-yard line. 13:04 left to play. We're in the opening period. Richard Todd is at quarterback, a junior from Mobile. In his backfield, a wishbone backfield, the key man is Calvin Culliver. Culliver is a sophomore from East Bruton, Alabama. They put a man in the slot to the right side here. That is Billingsley in the slot right. And the pitch goes from Todd to the far sideline, incomplete. It was intended over there for the tight end, George Pugh. So Alabama comes out throwing on first down.
The amazing thing about it, too, is the first time I've seen Alabama do this, they came out with motion. Willie Shelby came out of the backfield in a motion pattern coming down the sidelines, and he was wide open.
Second down and 10. No score in the Orange Bowl, opening minutes. Ozzie Newsome, the split end, set wide to the right. Sideline to the left, open field to the right, the give to Culliver. And Culliver crosses the 35-yard line. He got to the 37 before he was met by Greg Collins. Collins, as we told you, playing an All-American. Bothered by an injury. Fell off off a motorbike last Saturday at the training camp over at Marco Island, Florida. Had 13 stitches in his knee. Only had an opportunity just to jog here this evening. But he is playing and playing well in the early going. 3rd down, 5. Newsom split wide to the right. In motion, Billingsley to the left side. Todd, quarterback keeper. Nothing there for him. Todd tried the quarterback keeper with motion, and the stop was made by Big Mike Fanning, the senior from Tulsa, Oklahoma, at right tackle for the Fighting Irish. It'll bring up 4th down, and we're going to have Ron Nelson, the Crimson Tide's punter, with a 38.6 average coming on. Harrison and Goodman are back for Notre Dame. The punt is away. And it is the short man, Randy Harrison, who took it as he came over to his right. And it will be a 1st down for Notre Dame at their own 33-yard line. A timeout on the field. The score here, the Bama Crimson Tide nothing, the Irish nothing.
Here's another tip you may want to try, brought to you by Exxon.
Turning on the air conditioner in your car during the winter might seem a little odd, but it could save you some money. You see, running your air conditioner lubricates the seals, helps keep them from drying out and leaking. So if you run your air conditioner a couple of minutes every few weeks this winter, you may save a repair job next summer. Why not run it a few minutes now?
Your Exxon retailer can give you some other good tips on how to avoid needless trouble and expense. All it takes is a little preventive maintenance. For instance, if your car's getting hard to start, a fresh battery or new plugs and points might keep you from being stranded somewhere, might save you a towing job. Or if your brakes aren't working right or make a strange noise, a stitch in time could save you even more. When something about your car is acting a little strangely, drive in and ask your Exxon retailer about it. He's there to help you, under the Exxon sign.
With Paul McGuire, Jay Randolph in the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. After a 30-yard punt, the Irish will take it at their own 33-yard line. 11 minutes, 48 seconds to play, first period. Wayne Bullock, the senior from Newport News, Virginia, playing with just 1 day's practice for the Irish. He's been bothered by influenza. In motion, they send Al Samuel. Gets the Samuel, and he's out near the 40-yard line, going to the right side. Ricky Davis, the free safety for the Crimson Tide, is there to make the play, a senior from Bessemer, Alabama. For the Irish, it is Brenneman at center. Wujciak and Donardo at the guards, Neese and Sylvester at the tackles, McAfee is the tight end, Demerly is the split end. 2nd down and 4. In motion this time, coming the other way was Panic, and the give goes to Wayne Bullock. Bullock doesn't get much, maybe a half a yard, wrapped up on the play by Gus White. White is playing the middle guard spot. We have DuBose and Cook at the ends, Hall and Hanna at the tackles. Lowe and Robertson are the outside or weak and strong side linebackers. We have Rhodes and Washington at the corners, and Davis and Pizzatola at the safeties. 3rd down, 4. Notre Dame. Clements hands it over. Eric Pennick, 45-yard line, the first down, as he's bumped out of bounds on the near side by Ricky Davis, the free safety. A first down for Notre Dame, and we'll pause for station identification.
This is WMAQ and WJOI-FM, Chicago.
The Irish was sidelined to the left, open field to the right, come out at the 47-yard line in their own territory. Again, it is Pennick in motion coming to the near side. He gets the football and goes out of bounds after maybe a gain of a half a yard. Good play by Ron Robertson, the strong side linebacker, fellow had 14 tackles against Auburn.
Well, you know, at Notre Dame, they're very famous for this. They'll run a play. They ran it last time to Pennick. He came back to the outside. He picked up the first down. They came back with the same play. This time, Woodrow Lowe was in there to stop it. But I still feel that Clemens is going to have to put the ball in the air to loosen up that defensive line a little bit because they're bunched in there a little bit too tight.
2nd down and 9. Demerly goes wide to the right. Wingman left, Samuel in motion to the right side to give to him. And he got out to about the 49-yard line. They closed on him quickly. It was Ron Robertson and Woody Lowe. Lowe now the weak side linebacker on the right side. Lowe, all Southeastern Conference this season, an All-American last year and again this year. A junior from Phoenix City, Alabama. Robertson over there, the strong side linebacker, is a senior. Good experience at that position. Pennick is out and Goodman is in. A backfield change for the Irish. In motion to the right side, Samuel on 3rd down and 9. Pass goes out to the right side to Goodman. But Alabama did a fine job. It was Randy Hall. There's why he's an All-American, coming over to make the play from left tackle to his left.
That was a semi-screen pass. They just throw it out to the outside. The faking, when you throw a screen pass like that, Clemens took a little bit too much time and gave the linebacker, the defensive backs, time to get up. You've got to throw that pass a lot quicker than he threw it.
Punting situation, 4th and 11 at the 46-yard line. Notre Dame in their own territory. Brantley to do the punting. Shelby is back. Good rush again. A better punt this time by Brantley. Fair catch called for. Tough play. Notre Dame gets the football. Shelby called for the fair catch. Had to come up under it. Just slithered off his fingertip. And coming up to make the play and come away with it for Notre Dame was Pete Johnson, a freshman from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. He got that football.
And Shelby, an excellent punt returner with a 9.8-yard average. The thing that he did, Jay, was he took his eye off the ball for that 1 split second. He had his arm up for the fair catch, looked away to see who was close to him, took his eye off the ball, and consequently he fumbled the football.
37-yard punt, big turnover. Notre Dame operating near the 15. The handoff going to Eric Pennick. Pennick crosses the 15-yard line, gets to the 13 where the strong side linebacker for the Tide, Ron Robertson, is there. This fellow was named the South Defensive Player of the Week by United Press International after the Tennessee game. Robertson, 6 feet tall, 203. It is 2nd down and 7. Notre Dame threatening, 8:20 to play, first quarter. No score in the Orange Bowl. In motion this time to the left side comes Pennick. They give it back. Clemens kept it. He got to the 10-yard line. Good fake by Clemens, holding on, going to his right over his own right guard and tackle. Mike Washington, the left cornerback, was there for Alabama.
And that was a designed play. Pennick came in motion. He faked the bullet going up in the middle and just kept the football, tried to get to the outside because Bama, they're charging everything towards the middle of the line. There's no room to go into the middle. He's got to get to the outside.
Ball is just inside the 10-yard line. Clemens asks for quiet. 3rd down and 3. In motion to the left, Pennick. And with the football up the middle, it was Bullock. He's the big man. Bothered by influenza, top rusher the last 2 years for the Irish. They unwind down there and place the ball near the 6-yard line. Very, very close to a first down. It was Bob Baumhauer, a sophomore from Tuscaloosa, a hometown boy for the Tide that stopped him. It's going to be 4th, less than a yard. And Notre Dame is going to go. No question about it here in the early going. Coming to the 7-minute mark to play in this first period. And now Notre Dame wants timeout. Tom Clements, the senior quarterback from McKees Rocks, Pennsylvania, trotting to the near side to talk with his coach, Ara Parsegian. And we've got a timeout with 7:05 left. First period, the score, Alabama nothing, Notre Dame nothing.
Hello, Charlie.
Hello, Doris. Doris, what's all that noise?
Oh, Charlie, I'm calling from the Midas shop. Now, hold on a second. I'm going to put on the Midas vent here.
Hello, sir. Your wife here insists that I read you our new Midas guarantee. Sir? Hello, sir?
I'm listening.
Oh, well, sir, a Midas guarantee is good on any Midas muffler we install. It's good on any American car for as long as you own it.
Tell him about the free part.
Right. And if anything goes wrong, we'll put in a new muffler free of charge.
Did you hear that, Charlie? Free of charge. Listen, that even includes the installation.
Yeah, but honey, there's nothing wrong with our muffler.
Well, did it come with a guarantee like Midas's?
No, but...
Well, then, there's something wrong with it.
With our new Midas guarantee, you'll never have to buy another muffler for your car. At Midas, we're specialists. We have to do a better job.
We come back to play in the Orange Bowl. This 41st annual classic. It is 4th and less than a yard for Notre Dame. The ball between the 6 and 7 yard line of Alabama. Notre Dame getting the break. As Shelby called for the fair catch on the punt. Bobbled it. Notre Dame came away with it. Just one setback behind Clements. A double wing, and the give goes up the middle of Bullock, and he's got the first down. Bullock was all alone behind Clements. Leroy Cook at right end, the junior from Abbeville, Alabama. First team All-American, made the stop for Alabama. But first and goal to go inside the 4-yard line.
There was no doubt about it. Bullock was the only man that was lined up in the backfield. They had the other two backs split out in double wing situations, and there was no other man to give the ball to but Bullock.
Alabama beefs up their defensive line now. In motion to the right side, that's Samuel. And in for the touchdown. It is Wayne Bullock. And Notre Dame scored first. Bullock getting great blocking from Jerry DiNardo, Steve Sylvester, and Mark Benneman. 6:41 to play. First period, and the Irish are on the board first.
That touchdown came off the same type of play that Alabama would use in the wishbone, where they think Pennick or Samuel, in motion. They ride the fullback, and if he's open through that hole, Wayne Bullock that time was open, and he just hands up the ball, and he goes in for the touchdown.
Dave Reeve, a freshman from Bloomington, Indiana, will attempt the point after. Frank Alaco will hold. The ball is down. The boot is up. And it is good. So Notre Dame takes advantage of a break, and that's what makes a good football team.
It certainly does. If you just take a look at it, like we said before, this is going to be a defensive football game. And that break there just gave Notre Dame tremendous field position. But Alabama took them, 7 or 8 plays to get the ball in. So Alabama is ready for, both teams are ready defensively for this football game. But I still feel that Notre Dame is going to have to start putting the ball in the air.
We hope you'll be tuned to NBC Radio January the 12th. Tulane Stadium, New Orleans, Louisiana, Super Bowl IX, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Minnesota Vikings. Jim Simpson and John Brody will be there to call the action for you. Super Bowl IX, NBC Radio, 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time, January the 12th. Pat McLaughlin will kick off. Notre Dame leading 7-0, went 5 plays. For the 16 yards they had to go for the touchdown. Willie Shelby set to the left side. At the goal line, James Taylor to the right. McLaughlin is a junior from Santa Barbara, California. An honor student, does the kicking off for Notre Dame. McLaughlin hits it. High kick. Coming down. It is Taylor at the goal line. At the 10. At the 15. Ball under. James Taylor, who is a real speedster, met by Tony Zappala, a very aggressive sophomore from Elmwood Park, New Jersey. Zappala on the specialty unit. And the ball is just shy of the 15-yard line. After the 15-yard return, we'll give him credit for that. And Alabama with Richard Todd at quarterback, Shelby, Billingsley, and Culliver. Newsom, the split end, wide to the right side. Wishbone formation. Keeping it is Todd, rolling to the right, 20, 23-yard line, out to maybe the 24. Todd rushed for 265 yards and a 2.6 average during the season. Randy Harrison, the free safety for the Irish, and John Dubanetsky, the strong safety, there to make the tackle.
And you won't see Alabama get out of their game plan because, like I said at the beginning, the wishbone is basically a running offense. And they really don't have that many passing plays off it. They've only threw the ball in 11 games this year, 125 times. So you're going to see Alabama stay into that wishbone and run on the ground.
Newsom split to the left side this time, and the give to Calvin Culliver. He got maybe a yard. The stop was made by Steve Niehaus, the junior from Cincinnati, Ohio. Niehaus has come out of the lineup now, and we're going to get Ernie Hughes coming in to replace him. Hughes is a freshman from Boise, Idaho. And we're going to get a measurement, too, right here to see if Alabama got the first down. 5 minutes and 46 seconds left to play in the first quarter. It is a first down for Alabama. That's their first down in this football game.
This wishbone offense is really something to watch. And Coach Parsegian said at the beginning, or the other day when I was talking to him, that there are no keys, and no one really knows who's getting the football, not even the quarterback, because it depends on who commits himself first. They key first the tackle, then the end, then the outside linebacker, and he has 4 people who can carry the football.
Todd wants to throw, has time, going, and it is incomplete. Ozzie Newsom, the split end, set to the left side, just couldn't quite get there. The ball was overthrown. Randy Harrison, the free safety, covering in the zone. The Irish of Notre Dame have at the outside linebacker spots Drew Mahalik and Greg Collins. In the middle, Tom Eastman. Up front right now, they're showing Kevin Nosbush, Mike Fanning, John Galanis, and Jim Stock. In the secondary, Barnett and Payne at the corners, Dubonetsky and Harrison at safety. Second down and 10. Delay up the middle to Shelby, over the 30-yard line. Didn't quite get enough for the first down. Willie Shelby, 6.4 rushing average. Junior, Purvis, Mississippi, All-Southeastern Conference, and the Tide's second leading rusher, net by Randy Harrison.
And that was a draw play. Todd ran it absolutely beautifully with Shelby. And Bear Bryant said the biggest problem they have with Notre Dame is there are small offensive linemen blocking Notre Dame's big defensive linemen, and what they're really doing is just screening them and giving those quick backs just enough time to get through the hole.
Third down and 3 at the 32-yard line. Alabama trailing 7-0. Long count by Todd this time. Todd keeping, pitches it out. Ball is fumbled. And a battle for it. Notre Dame has it at the 29-yard line. It was the strong safety, Dubonetsky, who was there to pick it off as Randy Billingsley, the halfback on the play, couldn't handle the bobble pitchback.
Actually, Todd should have never pitched the ball back because he was going down, he was tackling, he didn't have an opportunity to get the ball to him.
Another turnover. 4:33 to go, first quarter. Notre Dame leading 7-0. Gets the ball just inside the Alabama 30-yard line. The Irish have sideline to the right, open field to the left. Tommy Clements, the quarterback, in motion to the left side, Pennick. Clements rolling to the left side, keeping, and whammy. At the 30-yard line, Leroy Cook, the leading tackler for the Crimson Tide with 81 tackles, really whopped him.
82 tackles. Now, I'll tell you, he hit Clemens about as hard as I've ever seen anybody get hit. And Clemens is a fine runner as well as a fine passer. He was moving well, he thought, until Leroy put the muscle to him.
Greg Montgomery now at the middle guard position for the Crimson Tide. Paul will talk a little bit about these defenses when we have the opportunity a little later on, give you an idea of what they're doing. This time the give goes to Bullock, and he's to the 25-yard line, slanting outside right. Woodrow Lowe, the weak side linebacker, coming up to make the stop. It's going to bring up third down and about 5. Clock running with 3.5 minutes to play. First quarter. Notre Dame leading 7-0. Ball just inside the 25. The ball midway between the sideline stripes. Notre Dame out of the huddle they come. Mark Brenneman, senior from York, Pennsylvania, at center for them. Clements throwing and incomplete. He was trying to get it down at the 20-yard line to Al Samuel, the halfback coming out. Chizzatola, the strong safety, was there covering.
Jay, and you were talking about the defense. Actually, the defense that Alabama uses some type of, it's a version of the nickel defense that the pros use. They have a middle guard and tackle, the right tackle, left tackle, but what they call their left end and right end are actually linebackers. Leroy Cook and Dubose, because Dubose is 190 pounds, Leroy Cook is 210. They have to be considered linebackers.
Field goal try coming up. Reeve to attempt. Alaco will hold. It'll come from the 32. It would be a 42-yarder. The boot is in the air. It is on the way, and it is wide to the left. It was long enough, but off to the left side. 3:09 left in the first period. A timeout with the score. Notre Dame 7, Alabama nothing.
Here's another little tip you may want to try, brought to you by Exxon.
This is a simple idea for making emergency stops beside the highway a lot safer. Just use reflective tape to make a large X across the inside of your hood and trunk lid. When they're open, your safety warning can be seen a long way at night by oncoming cars from both directions.
Incidentally, while you're thinking about safety, take a close look at your tires. Or better yet, ask your Exxon retailer to do it for you. If the tread's getting thin, or you've got a tire with a dangerous cut, he has good values on new ones. He sees a lot of tires, so he can help you choose what's needed for your car and your kind of driving. And right now, he's featuring the Exxon steel-belted Radial 78, the Tiger's toughest tire. So don't wait till your tires let you down. Drive in and ask your Exxon retailer to check your tires. He's there to help you. Under the Exxon sign.
That 42-yard field goal attempt being missed by Notre Dame. The Orange Bowl record is 44 yards by Penn State's Chris Baker last year against LSU. 3:09 left to play in the first quarter. Hope you're enjoying it wherever you are around the world tonight. On NBC, Paul McGuire along with Jay Randolph here. New quarterback now for the Crimson Tide. Gary Rutledge, a senior from Birmingham. First down at the 20-yard line. The handoff went to Calvin Culliver, and he got maybe a yard. Stop made by Mike Fanning, and let's call it a gain of just about a half a yard and make it second down and nearly 10.
We're going to see a lot of different faces in this Alabama football team tonight because Bear Bryant averages somewhere close to 53 football players per game.
In motion this time, Shelby coming to the right side out of a slot left. The handoff to Culliver, 35 to 40, and out of bounds at the 45-yard line. First down, Alabama. Randy Payne, the halfback over there, ran Culliver out. And right there you can see why this fella is the leading rusher. Culliver, 199 pounds, just a sophomore.
And Kevin Nosbush that time, he took the inside. When Rutledge went down the line of scrimmage, you saw that the tackle took the inside, the end stayed to the outside. He just handed to Culliver. His fullback going up the middle of the hole was there. Once he gets through that hole, it's opened up.
24 yards on a first down at the 45-yard line for Alabama. Now it is Rutledge throwing, and it's too far. That is man, the tight end, George Pugh, the junior from Montgomery, who caught 9 passes for 178 yards and 2 touchdowns during the regular season. Harrison, the free safety, was not as close to him as he should have been.
And it gives you an idea about how much Alabama really throws the football because their leading receiver is Newsom with 20 catches. Then after Newsom comes Pugh. In 11 games, he has only caught 9 passes, and they have 2 other people with 9 passes, one with 8 and then 3s on down the line. So they really don't throw the ball hardly at all.
I guess you don't have to when you're 11-0. It is second down and 10. This time, it is Rutledge holding on, twisting over the 45 to about the 48-yard line. And the outside linebacker, Greg Collins, who is a senior from Troy, Michigan. All-American. Quite a performer, this fella. And as we told you, coming off that knee injury that occurred when he fell off a motorbike last Saturday over at Marco Island where Notre Dame was training. We now have Jerry Brown, a junior from Fairfax, Alabama, tight end. Rush Shamoon is the split end, and he's set to the right side, 3rd and 7. Look
going down the line with all four people going the same way. You have to have backside blocking, and that time Alabama didn't. Niehaus was in there to make the tackle.
Loss of 9 on the play. Nelson is on to do the punting for Alabama. 4th and 15. Gets the kick away. And at the 23-yard line, it is taken by Randy Harrison. So Notre Dame will get the football with 50 seconds left to play in the first period. The Irish will take it at their own 23-yard line. They're leading 7-0. A 38-yard punt. Both of these clubs not having an opportunity to spend the week in Miami. Ara Parseghian took his troops to the west coast of Florida to let them train in the quiet atmosphere of Marco Island, and the Bear wouldn't bring the Tide here till 48 hours before kickoff. This time it is Clements handing it over to Mark McLean, who is now in the backfield for the Fighting Irish. McLean, averaging 4.9 per carry, is a sophomore honor student from Wilmington, Delaware. Woodrow Lowe made the tackle. Lowe is a dandy, isn't he, Paul?
Oh, he's a super football player. I've been watching. His lateral movements are amazing. I can't believe that a man can cover that much ground.
They put McAfee, the tight end, way wide to the right this time. Out of a slot left, Samuel is in motion. And it is Wayne Bullock over the 30 to the 34-yard line. Ricky Davis making the tackle for Alabama.
And I guess every time you give a man a little bit of praise, something breaks down, because Woodrow Lowe was the man that just missed that tackle.
The game was forward to the 32-yard line, but time runs out. And at the end of the first quarter, in the 1975 Orange Bowl, the score, Notre Dame 7, Alabama nothing.
Hi, this is Joe Garagiola. If you've been out car shopping, you know how tough it is to be sure you're getting the right car for your needs and budget. Sure, maybe you've seen small cars that are too small or big cars that are too big. Well, that's where the Dodge Coronet two-door hardtop comes in. It's right between too little and too big. And for the clincher, there's our great new Owner Care program with its 12-month unlimited mileage car warranty. For the first 12 months of use, any Chrysler Motors Corporation dealer will fix without charge for parts or labor any part of our 1975 passenger cars we supply, except tires, which proves defective in normal use, regardless of mileage. That's it. All you have to do is take care of normal maintenance service, such as changing filters and wiper blades. See it, the Dodge Coronet two-door hardtop. See it this week at your Dodge dealer's showroom.
55 yards net rushing for Notre Dame, -3 passing. Leading rusher is Bullock with 31 yards for the Fighting Irish. Alabama 47 yards net rushing. Nothing in the passing department. Cullifer, the leading rusher for Alabama, with 30 yards. Notre Dame's Wayne Bullock, 4 yards out. Scoring at 6:41 remaining of the first period. The point after was good, and that's the scoring, 7-0 as we come back to play. Tom Clements. Clements trying for the first down, and I think he got it. As he got to the 34-yard line, no, wait a minute, they may want to measure. No, they indicate first down. Greg Montgomery, the middle linebacker for Alabama, was there to make the tackle.
And that middle guard spot that Greg Montgomery plays has got to be probably the toughest position on the field, because you have a chance to be double-teamed by both guards and the center at any time. If they go to the left, the right guard, and the center is going to double-team you.
The pitch back to Samuel, turns it back in and goes down hard at the 34-yard line. Samuel trying to find a little running room, but Greg Montgomery, who is now actually playing the strong side linebacker position as they moved Gus White at in middle guard, was there to make the tackle.
And what I was saying about that middle guard, if Notre Dame runs to their right, the right guard, the center can double team you. If they run to their left guard, the center can double team you. So you really have three people that you have to key on.
Demerly is set wide to the right. The give goes to McLean, countering back to his left side. And McLean McLean got to the 37, maybe the 38-yard line, where Leroy Cook, the right end, made the tackle.
That's a good play to run that counter play, except for Alabama's linebackers and defensive ends really play it extremely well. They stay at home. They don't overcommit themselves. They do pursue, which a small defensive team has to do, except the two wide men on either side. They stay home and take that counter.
3rd down and 7. Notre Dame at their own 37-yard line. Clements keeping, rolling to the right over the 40, out to the 43-yard line, very, very close to a first down. Gus White, who is that sophomore from Dothan, Alabama, now at the middle guard spot, making the stop. And it is a first down for Notre Dame. We'll pause 10 seconds for station identification.
This is WMAQ and WJOI-FM, Chicago.
The Irish backfield now, Samuel, McLean, and Bullock, with Tom Clements at the controls. Clements rolling to the right side, throws on the run, complete to McLean. He's out of bounds as he got over midfield. Mike Washington, the cornerback over there for Alabama, making the play, and may have gotten enough for a first down. They're going to take a look at it. Our referee, Robert Quallen, a native of Dalton, Illinois. Alabama averaged 318 points a game, a 28.9 average through the season. Defensively, these are two fine football teams. Alabama gave up 83 points for a 7.5 average against their opponents. And Notre Dame, 136 points for a 12.3 average. 2nd down and less than a yard. Notre Dame with the ball back in Alabama territory at the Alabama 47-yard line. 12:41 to play in the first half. In motion, that's Al Samuel to the right side. And it was Wayne Bullock. I believe he's got the first down. They unpile, and he's at the 45. Randy Hall made the tackle. Hall is a big fella, 6'2", 233, a senior from Huntsville, and he's also one of the top 5 NCAA scholars, and that encompasses all the sports under the NCAA umbrella. A very brilliant performer he is, both mentally and physically. First down and 10. Notre Dame with the lead in the football. This time it is Al Samuel, with sideline to the right, running that way and getting near the 40-yard line before Alan Pizzatola. From Birmingham, Alabama, fellow who earned the Leroy Jordan Headhunter Award as a sophomore, at strong safety made the stop.
The Leroy Jordan Headhunter Award?
Is there ever, wasn't he? Huh?
If there's a headhunter, it's Leroy Jordan.
What a great performer. Pound for pound, as fine a linebackers you'd ever want to see. 2nd down and 5. Al Samuel the call again. And they're working on that right side. As they have sideline to the right, open field to the left, moving left to right. Gus White, the middle guard, made the stop for Alabama. Good block by DiNardo at right guard. And another first down for Notre Dame, the ball at the 34-yard line of Alabama.
And as I said in the film that I looked at against Auburn did the exact same thing. They ran to that right side, their right side, the left side of the Alabama defensive line, and they scored a touchdown. They just marched the whole length of the field.
Clements giving to Bullock a yard or two. Sent him right up the middle that time. Eric Pennick is coming back in now for Notre Dame, and we'll see who they send out. It is McLean coming out, so we have Clements along with Bullock, Samuel, and Pennick. Pennick is the boy that jumped on the Orange Bowl float here 2 years ago and got himself in the doghouse along with Art Best. Best is still in the doghouse. Ron Goodman is in for Notre Dame also, and it goes to Eric Pennick. Pennick near the 30-yard line. Cutting back over left guard. Randy Hall again there to make the tackle for the Crimson Tide. The clock is running with 10 minutes and 40 seconds left to play in the first half. The Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, an underdog in this game, leading 7-0 over Alabama. Alabama number 1 in one poll, number 2 in another. The MacArthur Bowl on the line here tonight. Coming onto the wing right, Pennick. Goodman comes in motion from the wing left. Clements pitches to Goodman. And Goodman hurdles out of bounds, short of the first Robertson forced him out. Robertson coming over from the strong side linebacker position. It's going to bring up 4th down and about 3. And let's see what Notre Dame wants to do here. If you just joined us, have been out of touch, the Rose Bowl, it was a dandy. USC beat Ohio State 18-17, and Notre Dame is calling for a timeout. Well, we've had a
Here's another little tip you may want to try, brought to you by Exxon.
Try this easy way to take moisture off your car windows if they're getting fogged up after sitting out all night. Keep a spare windshield wiper blade handy. Then you can squeegee the windows dry before you leave in the morning. It works a lot better than wiping them with the palm of your hand or a rag.
Use a spare windshield wiper for a squeegee. That's good to remember when you're changing wiper blades. And if your car's windshield wipers aren't cleaning as well as they used to, ask your Exxon retailer to replace the blades. He can do the job in just a few minutes, and you can save one of the blades he takes off to use as a squeegee. Your Exxon retailer hopes this tip will come in handy. And whether you need help to get your wipers working safely again, or want to know why your car's making an odd noise or acting a little strangely, drive in and ask him. He's there to help you. Under the Exxon sign.
Paul McGuire and Jay Randolph at the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. Sitting right in the next booth to us, the distinguished athletic director at Notre Dame, Moose Krause. And he's working on one of those big dollar cigars of his right now. His club in the lead. We get away from him, Moose.
Just 10 minutes to 9, he started smoking that cigar at 5 minutes to 5.
The Orange Bowl record for a field goal, 44 yards. Dave Reeve is going to try one from the 35. It would be a 45-yarder. Alaco will hold. The hash mark on the right side. Ball is down, and the kick is blocked, but I think Alabama is offside. Mike Washington was flying in from the right side for the Crimson Tide on the specialty unit. And it is going to be offside against Alabama. And that, I believe, is the first penalty we've had in this football game.
I'll tell you one thing, Mike Washington, it was so far in the backfield, he almost took the snap. That's how far offside he was.
Incidentally, Dave Reeve, a freshman from Bloomington, Indiana, kicked a 45-yard field goal against Rice. That was his longest this year for Notre Dame. The penalty gives the Fighting Irish a first down. That is their 6th first down here in the first half. Bear Bryant marching the sidelines in his checkered pork pie hat. His Alabama Crimson Tide down 7-0. Notre Dame moving left to right as we look at it here in the second period. The ball now at the Alabama 23-yard line. First down after the penalty. Clements rolls to the right side, cuts back in, got to the 23 before he was hit. And hit hard by number 55, Ron Robertson. Robertson doing a fine job for the Tide at strong side linebacker. The Fighting Irish now have Mark McLean, Ron Goodman, and Wayne Bullock in their backfield. Now Goodman has come out, and we have Samuel returning. So it's Samuel, McLean, and Bullock with Tommy Clements. Second down and 10. In motion, that is McLean to the left side. Pitch back to him. He's at the 20, at the 15, at the 13, down to the 11-yard line. First down, Notre Dame. Some fine running by Mark McLean. He can play halfback or fullback. 207 yards over the season. 2 touchdowns. It took Gus White, the middle guard, and Ricky Davis, the free safety, to bring him down.
Excellent option play by Clements, but McLean got the last 6 yards of that first down, Jay, on his own.
An 11-yard pickup. Now at strong safety, Mark Prudhomme, a junior from Memphis, Tennessee, for Alabama. The give right up the middle to Bullock, firing ahead. He's the big money back for Notre Dame across the 10-yard line.
And you know, Notre Dame, they don't make any bones about it either. When they get down close to the goal line, anywhere from the 12-yard line going on in, they just hand the ball to Wayne Bullock, and they'll take and split out both backs, put them in what I call a double wing formation on both sides, and they'll have only one back in the backfield, Wayne Bullock, and they'll just keep handing him the ball.
3 yards. Bob Baumhauer made the tackle on that last play. We got the two tight ends in now for Notre Dame, something the college has borrowed from the pros. In motion to the left side, Mark McLean. The give to McLean. Cuts it at the 5. Attempt the extra point. Frank Alacco will hold. Alacco, a quarterback from New Providence, New Jersey, puts it down. The kick is up, on the way, and it is no good. It is wide to the left. And now Notre Dame. Alacco complaining, but that won't do him any good. 8:29 left to play in the first half. Notre Dame 13, Alabama nothing.
Guess what I bought today?
What?
A muffler all by myself.
Where did you buy it?
Midas.
Oh, you're terrific.
You want to see it?
I'll go out to the garage later.
No, it's in the living room.
The car?
A muffler. It's a Midas muffler. I'll get it.
This is going to be something.
See? A Midas muffler for $1.99.
That's a scarf.
That's what I said. $1.99. It's a 5-foot-long scarf, and it's gold, and it's beautiful. And tomorrow I'm going to buy you a Midas muffler and wrap it around your neck.
You know, you're a little strange, Doris.
Speaking of strange, the car makes this funny noise when it runs.
Maybe it needs a new muffler.
No, it would look silly wrapped in a muffler.
Under the car.
Oh.
Don't be the last one on your block to wear a Midas muffler. Just drop into your nearest Midas shop and pick up a beautiful Midas muffler for just $1.99. These 5-foot-long Midas mufflers won't keep your car quiet, but they will keep your neck warm. A Midas muffler for $1.99.
8:29 left to play in the first half. Mark McLean, an 8-yard run. The point after miss. Notre Dame 13, Alabama nothing. The Irish went 77 yards in 17 plays. A good drive indeed. It is Pat McLaughlin to kick off. James Taylor to the right and Shelby to the left. Back at the goal line for Alabama. Here's the kick, a boomer. And it is Shelby. Goes down into the end zone. And McLaughlin really put the foot in it. No return. It'll come to the 20-yard line where Alabama will take over. Down 13-0. Don't forget, Super Bowl Sunday comes up January the 12th. And right here on NBC Radio at 2:45 Eastern Time, Super Bowl IX with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Terry Bradshaw and company going against the Minnesota Vikings, who offer another kind of quarterback, Mr. Fran Tarkenton. That's all on NBC Radio, January 12th. All right, Alabama will operate with Rutledge, their quarterback. He gives it to Willie Shelby. Shelby going to his right, crossing the 25-yard line, a pickup of about 8. As Tom Eastman, the middle linebacker for Notre Dame, was there to make the play. Shelby, 541 yards during the regular season and a 6.4 average. Second down and a long 2 coming up. We have Sylvester Croom at center for the Crimson Tide, a senior from Tuscaloosa. Larry Ruffin, a junior from Fayette. And a senior from Montgomery, Johnny Rogers, are at the guards. We'll talk a little bit more about that offensive line in a moment. This time, it is Sullivan, the first man up in that wishbone. It looks like the inverted V, and he takes it straight ahead to the 29-yard line where Greg Collins and Jim Stock make the stop for Notre Dame. The tackles right now for Alabama, Ray Maxwell, he's a junior from Flat Rock, Alabama, and Gary Washko, a junior from West Orange, New Jersey. We have third down and 1 coming for Alabama. Lindsey Newsom, the split end wide to the left side, and it goes to Shelby. And I don't know. I'm going to wait till they unpile. Greg Collins leading the way. It was thought that Collins might not play. He made the stop, and they're short of the first down. And Paul, I think it had to be a great psychological move that Collins is on this field here tonight.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons that the Notre Dame team was so far an underdog. Someone said today that they were underdogs by 11 points, and they're up by 13 right now.
It is Nelson who will do the punting. The sophomore from Birmingham, a fellow who walked on and gained a scholarship. Randy Harrison and Ted Bergmeyer for Notre Dame back to receive. Oh, this he hung it high. Fine punt. Fair catch called for. Gathered in by Randy Harrison, and it will be Notre Dame's football at their own 33-yard line. Timeout here at the Orange Bowl. 6:23 remaining first half. Notre Dame 13, Alabama nothing.
Here's another little tip you may want to try. Brought to you by Exxon.
If you want to measure something when there's no ruler handy, remember this. You have a ruler in your billfold. That's right. You can use a dollar bill for a ruler. It's just a wee bit over 6 inches long, about 6 1/8 inches to be more exact. So when you're out shopping and you want to see if something will fit at home, just pull out a dollar and start measuring.
Use a dollar bill for a ruler. That might come in handy. Your Exxon retailer hopes this little tip will help you sometime, because helping people is what good service is all about. For example, when your car starts making an odd noise or acting a little strangely, ask your Exxon retailer about it. He sees a lot of cars, so chances are he can give you some good ideas about what could be wrong, and he may even be able to fix it on the spot. So drive in and ask him. He's there to help you. Under the Exxon sign.
Buddy Young, a great star at Illinois, and a man who works for the National Football League, and a good friend of Paul McGuire's and yours truly. His son, Claude Young, Jr., in the New York hospital and pretty ill, and we send along our best for a speedy recovery to him tonight. Notre Dame giving it from Clements this time to Samuel. Moving once again, gets it up to the 33-yard line. Mike DuBose is there for Alabama to make the stop.
And this is I would say that the most important defensive series for Alabama now. They have to get some confidence back in their defense. They have to stop Notre Dame now and get the ball back, because they cannot afford to go into that halftime at a 20-point underdog.
Second down and 10. Terry Urick now in the backfield for Notre Dame as Bullock gets it. He comes out over the 40, fumble, and the football, and that's the great thing.
That's what I was talking about. This is the first break in the game that went Alabama's way.
There's a Tolan, a strong safety, was the man who covered the ball, and Alabama gets the turnover and will take it at the Notre Dame 40-yard line. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification.
This is WMAQ and WJOI-FM, Chicago.
Richard Todd is back at quarterback for Alabama. The wishbone with sideline to the left, open field to the right. Todd pitching it back. Willie Shelby inside the 35 to about the 34-yard line. Shelby rolling to the right side off the wishbone. And the tackle made by Randy Harrison, the free safety.
And I won't be surprised to see Shelby come out on that, the last man in the option, the halfback running out, get the ball and throw a pass, because what happens when it finally gets down, him being the fourth man, Shelby, getting the football, that means that there's going to be one-on-one on the split end downfield.
Newsom set to the left side. Sideline right, open field to the left. Todd keeping inside the 35 down to the 32-yard line. Todd, a junior from Mobile, UPI Offensive Player of the Week during the season.
I'm very much surprised to see Todd run that wishbone into the short side of the field, Jay, because it cuts down your option room. When you run to the short side, you've got to either keep the ball like he did that time or give it to the fullback, the first man through.
Jerry Todd, a junior from Fairfax, Alabama, now at tight end. It is third down and 2. Todd gonna throw. He throws, and it's complete. He made the good tackle, but a big play indeed. That time, Todd showed us that he can throw the football. He completed 36 of 67 during the regular season, and that is the first third down situation in this game converted by Alabama, and that's the key here in this drive. They had tried on 5 other occasions to get the first down. 4:10 remaining. This time the throw to the far sideline is incomplete. It was intended for Ozzie Newsome, who set up on the right side, and the fans are booing here, thought that Barnett, the cornerback over there, might have made contact.
He did. If there would have been any interference at all that time, it would have been on Newsome, because the ball was, first of all, was overthrown by about 8 or 9 yards. And Barnett, all he was doing was covering the ball. He was running for the football, and Newsome hit him in the back.
Now we have Rush Shamoun, a sophomore from Napa, California, going wide to the right. He's in at split end to replace Newsome. 2nd and 10 for Alabama at the Notre Dame 21-yard line. Todd keeping, gets a yard or two. Drew Mahalik, the outside linebacker, the senior from Farmington, Michigan, a former quarterback in high school. Fine athlete, 2-year regular, made the stop, had some help from Harrison.
And Todd did the same thing again. He ran that wishbone into the short side of the field, Jay, where you don't have the room to complete your 4 options. Where you can go back to the other side, you have almost 40 yards to run in over there. Take it to that side, to the wide side. Then if you have to keep the ball, at least you have some room.
Jerry Brown, now the tight end for the Tide as they're rotating. Todd fades, has time, throws up the middle, it's complete to Brown. Had a fumble at the 9-yard line. Did he hold on to it? As we told you, Brown just came in. He took the pass right down the middle from Todd. He was hit by Dubinetsky, and it's Alabama's football at the 8-yard line. 1st and goal to go.
You know, the amazing thing I watch, you watch 5 officials standing down there looking at each other for someone to make a call, and actually no one makes a call.
Well, somebody must have asserted himself, because Alabama has the football. 1st and goal to go at the 8. Todd hands it over, and it is Randy Billingsley. And Billingsley stopped at about the 9-yard line. Loss of a yard on the play. The play made by Steve Niehaus, the big end, and Marv Russell, the middle linebacker. Russell, a sophomore from Fort City, Pennsylvania, 6 feet tall and 220. He's a practicing Methodist minister playing for the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. How about that? 2:37 left to go in the first half.
Boy, Harris is Presbyterian.
That's right. Todd give it to Culliver, and he's inside the 5. Good faking by Todd. He's very clever with his wishbone. A lot of movement in those fakes. Drew Mahalik there to make the play, along with Kevin Nosbush for Notre Dame. Clock running with 2:10 to go in the first half. The Irish leading 13-0. It's going to be 3rd down and 4.
And that time he did go back to the wide side of the field, which gives him that much more of an option. And I don't understand why he would run back to his left, the weak side, where they have the strong people like Niehaus and Nosbush over there.
At the 4-yard line, Todd is throwing, and it is incomplete. He was trying to go to the split end. Ozzie Newsome, who was set to the right side. A good job by the cornerback, Reggie Barnett, a senior from Flint, Michigan, out of Central High School. A very experienced man out there on the flank. Danny Ridgway is coming on for Alabama.
And I'll tell you, Jay, that was a great pass by Todney, and he hit Newsome right in the hands. There was no excuse for dropping the ball.
Ridgway, a junior from Fife, Alabama, established a new Alabama record for points after touchdown. Farley will hold. The field goal attempt will come from the 11th. It's 11, the 21-yarder. And it is good. 21-yard field goal, and Alabama is on the board. 1:45 left to play in the first half.
Great psychological lift for Alabama now. They know that they can score against Notre Dame. It's a lot better than Notre Dame at that point when Notre Dame fumbled. It looked like Notre Dame was going to start moving the ball again against Alabama. Alabama over the big fumble, moved the ball down. They only got 3 points, but yet they're on the board now, and they know that they can score against Notre Dame.
My spotter, Mr. McHale of Notre Dame, just passes on the fact that there were only 10 men on the field for Notre Dame on that field goal try.
Got to be careful of those Notre Dame spotters.
1:45 remaining. A 13-3 game now. It'll be Bucky Berry to kick off for Alabama. Bucky's a sophomore from Montgomery, Alabama.
You've got to give equal time to the Alabama spotter, too, James.
Well, he had 11 men on the field.
Okay.
Set to receive for Notre Dame, standing at the 5-yard line to our left, Al Samuel. He's averaging 18.7 for kickoff return. Ron Goodman averaging 16.1. Hope you're enjoying it wherever you are this evening. Very happy New Year to you from the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. Alabama fans sending up a cheer on the far side. We're going to have both the bands performing at halftime. All will be chatting with Billy Vessels. We'll have some news for you, and a guest from the world of motion pictures in the theater, Mr. Walter Matthau, will be with us. And we hope to stay right alongside. And the kick coming from right to left across the field. It is taken by Ron Goodman. Goodman for Notre Dame at the 25, at the 26. And he is really hit hard. Number 36 in to make the stop. Rich Wingo. He's a linebacker, a freshman from Elkhart, Indiana. And Elkhart, of course, just up the street from South Bend.
You know, we talked about there are a lot of changes in the Alabama team, and I talked to Bear Bryant before this game, and he told me the reason for it is it's so hot down there. When they practice at the beginning of the year, they use so many football players, and they all come along at the same time, which is really great when you can play that many football players in a game.
He has remarkable depth. First down, Notre Dame. Ball on their own 25-yard line. Clemens handing it off. To the right side, that is Wayne Bullock. And Bullock getting a good block from Jerry DiNardo. Busted out to the 33-yard line where Mike Washington made the tackle. The clock is running now. They're coming to 1:20 left to play. Bullock now, 14 carries, 54 yards here in the first half. A timeout for Alabama with 1:18 remaining in this first half. Recap the scoring for you. In the first quarter with 6:41 remaining. Notre Dame's Wayne Bullock scored from 4 yards out. Dave Reeve kicked the point after, and the Irish led it 7-0. They went 16 yards in 5 plays after Willie Shelby's fumble, after he had called for a fair catch on a Brantley punt at the 16. In the second period, 8:29 remaining to be played. Mark McLean, an 8-yard run. He was the key on the last couple of plays. The point after was missed to the left side, and it was Notre Dame 13, Alabama nothing, as the Irish drove 77 yards in 17 plays. Alabama on the board, 1:45 remaining in this first half. Ridgway's 21-yard field goal, as Alabama went 34 yards in 10 plays.
And if you think, get this last one for error because it is his last college football game, I just honestly believe that he will be coaching in the pros by 1976. But the thing about it is that Notre Dame has done so far, offensively and defensively, against Alabama. They are taking it to him. They're beating him off the ball defensively. They're getting to him offensively.
This is a very big Notre Dame club, and they have good speed. Alabama not as big, great quickness. Second down 3 at the 33-yard line. Bullock, Samuel, and Pennick in the backfield to give to Bullock. Notre Dame operating out of the tee, using a lot of double wing tonight. And the timeout being called as they put the ball down at the 35-yard line. It was Woodrow Lowe who made the stop on Bullock. And the officials are going to take a measurement here to see if they got enough for the first down. A Had you expected to be seen so much double wing from Notre Dame here in the early going this evening, Paul?
Well, when I went over to Marco Weiland and I talked to Eric Parsegian, and when you interview him, he doesn't really say anything. Like most coaches, when they talk to announcers, and I know when I played pro football for 11 years, they tell you not to really say anything about what you're going to do. But he had to have some type of a new wrinkle for Alabama, and that's what he's using here tonight, a lot of double wing formations.
They've had the measurement. They are just short of the first down. Now we have Vince Cleves, a sophomore from Costa Mesa, California, in at center now, replacing Mark Brenneman. Brenneman with a hairline fracture during a basketball game, trying to keep in shape after the Southern Cal game. Clements taking it straight ahead, and I believe he got the first down. 59 seconds left on the clock to go in this first half. Greg Montgomery was there, the middle guard.
As I said before, when I went over to Marco to talk to Eric Parsegian, I asked him about the wishbone, and how you defense it, and what are your keys, and he said there weren't any. So he proceeded to draw a diagram, and I took a look at it, and it looked like something that my 5-year-old came home from kindergarten with. I came back to try to show it to the other people here, and as you remember, when I showed it to you, you didn't have any idea what it was.
No, I thought it was some kind of surrealist drawing from somewhere. Notre Dame picks up the first down. They have 9 here in the first half. Alabama with 3 first downs. The Irish are leading 13-3. 59 seconds of playing time left.
It's going to be very interesting to see what Alabama comes out with in the second half, because as you and I know, Jay, and the people know by watching the wishbone, it is a basic running offense, and there aren't that many pass plays off of it. But I do feel that we're going to see that option play by the halfback, an option pass by Shelby.
All right, 1st and 10 at the 36-yard line. Clements giving it to Pennick, and he was upended by Mike DuBose. DuBose, who had 40 tackles for the regular season from Alabama, OPP, 5'11", 190, a senior. Mike DuBose. Clock now showing 40 seconds left to go, first half. Notre Dame has gone all the way with Clements at quarterback, Al Samuel, Wayne Bullock, and Mark McLean are in the backfield. We've got 2 tight ends there now. Clements rolling to the left side, has running room at the 35, the 40, and out of bounds at the 44-yard line. Clock stopped with 16 seconds left to go in this first half. A pickup on the play of 10 yards for Tommy Clements. Tommy from Keys Rock, Pennsylvania. Fine runner. Honor roll student. An accurate passer. A fellow who is as versatile as any quarterback you'd like to have.
He certainly is, and that play there was a pass play. That was a designed option pass play. He went down the line, he faked to Bullock, and he went back to pass.
Now we have Mark McLean, Ron Goodman, and Wayne Bullock back there with Clements. 3rd down and 3, their own 43-yard line. Clements comes the other way, rolling right, throwing on the run, intercepted. On the near sideline at the 37-yard line, they discuss it now. The question is, was the man out of bounds? He was not. It's going to be Alabama's football, and it was Mike Washington who came up with it. They had to wait till they unpiled. Mike Washington getting the interception. The pass was intended for Goodman. Washington, his 4th interception of the year, the junior from Montgomery.
And that play came in from the bench, and I think Eric Parsegian will think twice about that call.
So there are 8 seconds left to go now in this first half. Alabama will get the football at their own 37-yard line with sideline to the left, open field to the right. Going out wide to the right is Rush Shamoon. Todd over the middle, and it is complete. It is Shamoon inside the 40-yard line and a first down. They call timeout as Randy Payne made the tackle, but the clock shows no time remaining. The big pass up the middle, Todd to Shamoon, and we may see some more
Chrysler Corporation's new 12-month unlimited mileage warranty promises that any part we supply on your 1975 Dodge, Plymouth, or Chrysler passenger car, which proves defective in the first full year of normal service, regardless of mileage, will be fixed without charge by your Chrysler Motors Corporation dealer, with the following exceptions. Tires.
That's all the exceptions?
That's all.
For how many miles?
As many miles as you can drive in one full year.
But, what's the catch? I mean, what do I have to do?
Just take care of normal maintenance, such as changing filters and wiper blades.
Wow. I'd call that very confident.
We think it's the clincher.
The clincher?
The clincher. It's going to take better care of the people who buy Chrysler Corporation cars.
Here at halftime, the Orange Bowl game of 1975 and the Irish 13, Alabama 3. Paul, in our opening this evening, because of the late start, we didn't have an opportunity to hear the voice of Bear Bryant as you chatted with him. You asked him the other day if he'd found any weaknesses looking at Notre Dame's defense on the films.
Well, I wouldn't tell you if I had, but the biggest word we have about Notre Dame is rocking over big lineman. And you take which ball, you can determine what you want to do. You can make quarterback keep it, you can make him pitch it, or you can make him hand off the fullback. You can pretty well dictate to what they have to do. But when you do, if you have some complementary, what we call complementary offense, it looks the same way or starts the same way, that's where we're going to try to win the ball game.
When a quarterback, like he comes down the line of scrimmage on your option, he has actually an option of 4 people. I'm including himself. He's got 3 other backs plus himself to carry the ball.
Right. Well, normally speaking, you'll either hand off first man through, which is normally the fullback, and then he'll either keep it, depending on what the 3-man does, or the end does, or pitch it. Because they can always make him keep it by taking a pitch away, or they can always make him pitch it by coming in. And then, of course, that gives you one-on-one on the pass. So it's really a full-man deal because halfback can either run it or throw it if he pitches it.
Bear Bryant talking to Paul McGuire. The Irish leading 13-3 here at halftime. It's great always to be here in South Florida. It's great to be with your Orange Bowl committee. And we want to say from all of us at NBC Sports, congratulations on your recent induction into the National Football Foundation Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that very much. Being an Orange Bowl committee member, I want to say how much we appreciate what NBC has done to help promote our game. It's a really great event. They work hard, and just what a game we've got going tonight.
There's no question about it. I've been here for some one-sided affairs. I've been here for some dandies. But all in all, what a magnificent, magnificent job the committee does. I'm going to turn you over right now to a fellow who is working his first Orange Bowl and has been very excited about it all week. The old punter from Citadel, Mr. Paul McGuire, working with me tonight. You fellows talk a little football.
Thank you, Jay.
Billy, the first thing I wanted to ask you about, we talked about Alabama being with this wishbone, basically a running football team. Now they're behind 13-3. What do they have to do? What can they do with this wishbone to get back in this ball game?
Well, Paul, I don't think they've utilized their speed as much as I thought they would. One reason why, of course, is that they haven't had the ball. The second Notre Dame touchdown, I think they consumed something like over 8 minutes and kept the ball away from Alabama. I think what's going to be surprising, even on the wishbone, supposedly not a passing offense, I think you're going to see Alabama come out throwing. Also, to me, I think possibly the biggest thing going through people's mind is what I refer to now as the Southern California syndrome. What happened in the third quarter out there is still living with these boys. At every place I've been as an Orange Bowl committee member, I've been assigned to the Notre Dame team, and for 7 days now, everybody's been asking what happened at Southern Cal in the third quarter. And this is what I think is going to be really the interesting thing to watch is that what I refer to as the Southern California third quarter syndrome.
All right, what do you think? Do you think now that, speaking of that Ara Parseghian is in a locker room and has brought that up, or will bring that up and say, let's not worry about what happened before against Southern Cal, let's just go out and do the job that we're doing now?
Ara Parseghian is going to stay with the game plan that he said he wouldn't bring that up. He's going to go with the game plan he had. He'll talk about the mistakes. I think he's going to start maybe changing his pass coverage. I think Alabama's receivers have been a little too wide open for Ara's sake. But it's going to be, I think Alabama's just going to have to start utilizing their speed. Paul, what I can understand is Ray Collins, who's the Notre Dame linebacker, has got 12 stitches, and I wish you could see him. Ripped open. Here he is. I think in one of the most, and pardon the expression, one of the most gutsy performances I've ever seen. It's just been a great game, and I think for Alabama to come back, they're going to have to start running wide, and they're going to have to start throwing the ball.
Okay, now you said you spent a week with Notre Dame. Tonight we're seeing Notre Dame using an awful lot of what I call double wing, and which they're not normally using. Is this a new formation just for this game or just for the Alabama defense?
No, they've been running that for some time. I think probably the only variation is the man in motion. That they're trying to swing back and trying to do a double wing more type of offense with the man in motion. They've been running that same formation all year.
All right, now
they did not put anything new in for the game.
Okay, we were talking about Todd. He's running his wishbone into the short side of the field on the options. Now, I was talking. I can't understand why he does that when he utilized the wide side of the field.
Well, I can't understand it either. As I said, they have not. Alabama's really forte is their speed, and he's been running to Notre Dame's strength. I mean, Niehaus, you can't find. I think he's one of the best defensive players in the country. They keep running in that way, and I can't understand why they. Let's see now. I think the three best plays they've had is when they went wide and threw the ball on their gainers.
Well, the last long play, the last pass reception that he threw, that was because they were in what they call a save the game or victory defense, Notre Dame. But you mentioned the fact that the Notre Dame the Alabama wide receivers are wide open now. On a touchdown to Newsom, almost a touchdown that he dropped, the ball will hit him right in the hands. He was wide open, and they're covering him man to man. I don't understand that.
I can't either. And the man who's covering him was about 4 inches shorter, and he's been behind him every time. Paul, being the former, kicker that you are, I wanted to mention something to you. I came out to practice yesterday, and Alabama has a kick machine, if you can believe it. And when a fellow fumbled the first time, I thought about this. They have a machine now that kicks the ball. It will go about 60 yards. It's a little kind of a hydraulic thing. And I wondered in my mind when he fumbled the ball, the Alabama player, if there's some difference between the regular kicker and a simulated kicker like this, if it had anything to do with it.
Well, I don't really think so, that makes that much of a difference. Billy, what I observed, and thanks to the television people, we do have a monitor up here, and we got a chance to see it. And what happened was Shelby, when he was back, he did signal for the fair catch, and he took his eye off the ball, and he was looking downfield. Billy, we want to thank you very much. This is my first Orange Bowl.
And I hope you come back often. And Jay, thank you on behalf of the Orange Bowl Committee for doing such a great job for us. And we love to have talent like you down here. And I hope in 1975 you get down to a 3 handicap.
Oh, Billy, thank you so much. Let's go to the field. The Notre Dame band is there. Completing their show here at halftime under the direction of Robert O'Brien. There are 8 gilded dancers out in front, and now the halftime pageantry continuing to unfold here. Orange Bowl 75 with the Fighting Irish leading 13-3. We pause 35 seconds for station identification.
WMAQ Radio brings you the biggest bowl game of them all, the Super Bowl.
January 12th, the winner of the AFC Championship and the winner of the NFC Championship will meet in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. The winner will be the National Football League champions. Join us for the football game of the year,
the Super Bowl at 1:45 on the station that brings you the best in sports, WMAQ Radio.
This is WMAQ and WJOI-FM, Chicago.
This is Jay Randolph, along with Paul McGuire at the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. Notre Dame is leading 13-3. And coming up a bit later on in our halftime, we'll be chatting with motion picture and theater star Walter Matthau. Right now, on the field, for the first time ever, an Orange Bowl halftime pageant getting ready to unfold, not under the direction of the mad genius, Ernie Seiler. Seiler has retired, the man who made this game and its pageantry legend, and Dan McNamara has taken over. And what a great show it is that is unfolding now below us with the bands and the floats, and we wish you could see it. In this media radio, though, that's tough for you. But I can tell you, it is a magnificent and striking show. Let's run down the major bowls this week. In the Gator Bowl, it was Auburn 27, Texas 3. In the Sugar Bowl, Nebraska 13, Florida 10. In the Cotton Bowl today, Penn State 41, Baylor 20. And in the Rose Bowl this afternoon, USC beat Ohio State 18-17. Here the Irish lead Alabama 13-3. We have a half to go, and back with the second half right after this.
We're going to take a lot of trips this season. To stores.
To school.
Out to the swimming pool. To the dentist. To the market. We will take our car and park it.
Short trips never give your car a chance to warm up and eliminate engine-damaging deposits. Short trips call for Quaker State Motor Oil. It gives quality protection against these harmful deposits. And now when we need it more than ever, you can find it more places than ever.
Quaker State, your car. To keep it running young.
We'll be right there. Goodbye. That was the hospital. Richard and Carol had an accident.
They were just here, the party.
Get the car.
People are incredible. They watch someone drink too much and then drive. Then the phone rings and they're afraid he may die. Where were they when he was killing himself? Take the car keys. Call a cab. Just don't let a problem drinker drive when he's drunk.
Carol, if there's anything we can do.
Remember, when a problem drinker drives, it's your problem. A public service message on behalf of the U.S. Department of Transportation.
Notre Dame right below us, around Coach Ara Parseghian, about to go into their last half. Under that gentleman is Coach Dan Devine, the former head man at Missouri, the former head man of the Green Bay Packers, who takes over for 1975.
I don't want to bring ill will on Notre Dame, but if you remember in the SC game a couple weeks ago, SC scored just before the half on Notre Dame and came out in the third period and literally destroyed Notre Dame. Now, Alabama just scored. It was only 3 points, but they scored before the end of the half, and they got the ball back and almost scored again. We have a 13-3 ball game. Now all we have to do is wait and see what a mental effect that had on the Notre Dame football team.
We're not going to have to wait long. The second half is about to unfold here in the Orange Bowl. The sellout crowd. Shelby is back set to the right side, along with Taylor, to receive the kick that will come from Dave Reed, or check it from Pat McLaughlin. McLaughlin for the Fighting Irish to kick off left to right as we get set to go to the third quarter. McLaughlin to the football, and here we go. It's a short, high kick. And taking it at the 10 is Willie Shelby. He's at the 15, cuts up at the 20, 25. Out to the 27-yard line. Shelby, who can fly, a 22.7 kickoff return average, returning it for 17 that time, making the tackle Randy Harrison on the specialty unit for Notre Dame. So Alabama, a favorite in this game, down 13-3, will operate from their own 26-yard line with Todd at quarterback, Culliver, Billingsley, and Shelby in the wishbone with him. Ozzie Newsome, the split end set to the left side. Sideline right, open field to the left. The give to Calvin Culliver. Culliver gets to the 29-yard line. Slanting to the left. Making the play was Jim Stock. Stock at right end for the Fighting Irish. Had some help from Drew Mahalik. Culliver has carried the ball 7 times for 40 yards.
And it's going to be interesting to see if Billy Vessels was right, to see if Alabama comes back to their speed, which they have to do to get back in this ball game.
2nd down and 7. Todd wants to pass. He's got a man, and the pass is too high. Trying to get it to his tight end, George Pugh. He was in the clear at the 47-yard line, up the near side. Payne and Dubanetsky in the secondary, covering for the Fighting Irish. Alabama has Sylvester Croom at center, Larry Ruffin and John Rogers are the guards, Jerry Washko along with Ray Maxwell at the tackles. Pugh the tight end, Newsome is the split end. Todd has attempted 7, completed 3 for 52 yards. It is 3rd down and 7, Alabama. The ball at their own 29-yard line. Todd again wants to throw, has time, throws, completes it for a first down on the far side to Newsome at the 41-yard line.
You know, it's amazing that I'm watching this, and I talked about at the beginning of the game about Alabama's wishbone. It is a running formation. And I'll tell you, their receivers are wide open. Pugh and Newsome have been open all day long, and if I was Todd, I would come back out and just start throwing the football. Forget about the run.
See, Todd now is 4 for 8, 6 first downs for Alabama. Culliver across the 45-yard line. This sophomore is most impressive. Calvin Culliver. Tom Eastman, the middle linebacker for Notre Dame, made the tackle. Coming into the lineup now is Tom Lipinski, a junior from Akron, Ohio, from Jesuit High there. He's seen a good deal of action. A change in the secondary for the Irish. Stock, Fanning, Nosbush, and Niehaus up front. 13:25 left to go, 3rd period. 2nd down and 6 for Alabama. Todd keeping. Gets outside and reaches the 48-yard line. Todd runs this wishbone very nicely. Randy Harrison, the free safety, is there for the Irish. The linebackers are Mahalik and Collins, along with Eastman for Notre Dame. Barnett, Dubanetsky, Harrison, and Payne are in the secondary. Todd, 15 yards on 4 carries. Sideline to the left, open field to the right. Alabama moving right to left here in the 3rd quarter of play. Going wide to the right is Ozzie Newsome. Todd says something to Culliver, who's the first man in the wishbone. Todd rolling right. Hit. Got it away, and let's see what they call it. Do they call it an incomplete pass or a live ball? I thought, Paul, that his arm was in motion. Dubanetsky picked the football up, and it was Maxwell who covered it for Alabama. It was a live ball, apparently. I thought they might call an incomplete pass. This will bring up a punting situation. 4th down and 4, and it'll be Rod Nelson to do the punting. Harrison and Bergmeyer are back to our left, set to receive. Nelson gets it away. Fair catch is called for, but they let it go. It hits at the 10, going to be down inside the 5-yard line. No, it got in. Somebody got his hand on it, Paul, at about the 5-yard line, but his momentum carried him, and the ball bounced away, and it went into the end zone. Downfield there for Alabama very quickly was the speedster James Taylor. He can really fly, and he had a chance to down it, but it will come to the 20-yard line. Notre Dame getting a break there. They'll get it from their 20.
It's an amazing story about this punter. He came on the JV team. They were punting against Georgia Tech in a JV. I think it was Georgia Tech in a JV game. And he kicked the ball, I think, 12 times in the ball game for a 48-yard average. When the bus came back through Tuscaloosa, they just dropped him off, and he was on his way to play in a varsity game.
Can't blame him for that. 2 tight ends for Notre Dame. The give coming from Clements to Pennick. Pennick that time was in motion to the left side, and he took it from Clements. Conley Duncan, the weak side linebacker for Alabama, making the stop. It is DuBose and Hall, along with Hanna and Cook up front for Alabama. Duncan and Robertson are the linebackers. The middle guard is Montgomery. Washington and Rhodes are at the corners. Pizzatola and Davis are the safeties. Second down, 9, 21-yard line. Notre Dame leading 13-3. 2 tight ends again for Notre Dame. They are Weber and McAfee. Clements this time gave it to Bullock, and he's near the 24-yard line where he's met by Gus White. White now is at middle guard as we check that for you. He's a sophomore from Dothan, and he was a starter part of the season, very quick.
And Notre Dame continues to run to their right, to Alabama's left.
Notre Dame trying to control this football game on the ground right now. McAfee is split wide to the left. One of the 2 tight ends in the game. That's Pennick in motion to the left side, and to give to Bullock. And he is short of the first down. Got across the 25-yard line, met by Randy Hall. Hall going to Alabama Med School next year as a Phi Beta Kappa, and he's a heck of a football player with it, I'll tell you that. You don't have to put a key on him to know he can hit you. 10 minutes and 35 seconds left to play third period. It'll be Brantley to do the punting for Notre Dame. He's punted twice, a 28-yard average. Willie Shelby back as a single safety. Let's see if Alabama puts the rush on. They're all up there. Bad punt. Low, coming up the near sideline. Shelby coming up at the 35. Has it at the 40. Over the 40, 45 to the 46-yard line. Willie Shelby returning it. Bama's going to have good position to move the football. Al Samuel made the tackle. The punt, 39 yards. Alabama will have it at the 45-yard line. There's a penalty marker down at the 45. A dead ball personal foul going to be called here against the Fighting Irish. This is the first big penalty we've had in the football game.
And their defensive left end, Mike DuBose, he got downfield and really threw a great block.
That is Notre Dame's first penalty. I think we had one other penalty in the first half.
We had an offside penalty against Alabama.
All right, a timeout here. 10-11 left, third period. Irish 13, Bama 3.
For 50 years, the name Chrysler has stood for an automobile of very special accomplishment and luxury. Accomplishment that today reflects itself in the excellence of the 1975 Chrysler New Yorker. Distinguished by unique design and uncommon comfort. Luxury symbolized by the proud bearing of the 1975 Imperial LeBaron. An automobile that sets its own distinctive standards of excellence, comfort, and convenience. And now that tradition of excellence graces a new Chrysler. A new small Chrysler, Cordoba. Cordoba is an automobile of beauty and harmony. Smaller, but so very luxurious, and yet so very affordable. Cordoba is proudly a Chrysler. The Chryslers. Now excellence in 3 sizes.
Here in the Orange Bowl, Alabama has the football at Notre Dame's 40-yard line. First and 10. The Irish lead at 13-3. Gary Rutledge, a new quarterback for Alabama. Mike Stock, James Taylor, and Calvin Culliver now in the wishbone. The handoff going to Taylor. Taylor may be back to the line of scrimmage, maybe a half a yard. Steve Niehaus, the big guy from Cincinnati. He tore knee ligaments in the Rice game in '73 and has come back to play some fine football for Notre Dame. Let's call it second down and 9.
I was kind of expecting to see a pass on that play. When you get a big break, a 15-yard personal foul penalty, you're in Notre Dame territory. I just thought that they would step up and little play action and throw that ball.
All right, it is 2nd and 9, just inside the 40. Rutledge throwing this time, and it is complete. That's Shamoon. Shamoon from Napa, California, who caught 8 for 145 yards. Hit by Randy Harrison, the free safety. First down, Alabama, 21-yard pass play. The ball now at the Notre Dame 18-yard line.
You could have timed that ball with a sundial. I'll tell you, if I was Shamoon and I went back in the huddle, I'd tell Rutledge, I said, listen, if you're going to throw the ball, don't hang it up in the air, because he almost got broken right in half.
Now Notre Dame asking for a timeout. Shamoon has caught 2 passes for 49 yards in this game. He is just a sophomore, and he's spelling Ozzie Newsome at the split end post right now.
If they don't start firing the football in there, he won't make it to a junior.
Let me remind those of you that it won't be long until they have a little get-together at Tulane Stadium down in New Orleans, Louisiana, January 12th, 2:45 Eastern Time, Super Bowl IX on NBC Radio with our good buddies Jim Simpson and John Brody. January 12th, the Super Bowl, the Steelers and the Vikings. Back here in the Orange Bowl with Notre Dame leading Alabama 13-3. 1st and 10 to go for Alabama. They have sideline to the left, open field to the right. They are moving right to left in their red jerseys here in the 3rd quarter of play. Going wide to the right, Russ Shamoon. The wishbone with Culliver, Billingsley, and Stock. Quarterbacking them, Gary Rutledge, a senior from Birmingham. The pitch back is a bad one. It went to Stock, and he has to cover it for a loss back up at the 26-yard line. Rutledge, on his pitch to the right, got it behind Stock. There was good penetration from Steve Niehaus.
You know, it's amazing to me. Now, they put Shamoon out as a wide receiver to the right by himself. And Notre Dame's Reggie Barnett is covering him man-to-man. And so far, in the first half, Reggie Barnett has been beaten about 2 or 3 different times. Now, the one time Newsome dropped the ball for a touchdown, I don't understand why they're letting him play man-to-man. They should give him some help.
2nd down, 19 for Alabama. Coming up, Rutledge in trouble, gets the pass away and completes it to Billingsley. Good scrambling by Rutledge. Good penetration again by Niehaus, who almost got him. One of the Irish is hurt at the 36-yard line. It looks like it might be Kevin Nosbush, who's shaken up at the 37. It was Collins who made the tackle after Billingsley had caught the pass. Billingsley, a senior from Sylacauga, Alabama. And I worked all week to pronounce that right, and I hope I did. 3 years a regular.
The Alabama spotter gave you the A-OK on Sylacauga.
3-year regular, Billingsley making the catch, coming off with a little help. Nosbush.
Jerry, I'll tell you, I have no idea how Rutledge got that ball off. Number 1, Niehaus had him in the backfield first. Nosbush was back there. Everybody was in the backfield. He turned and fired the ball downfield. It was a tremendous play by the quarterback.
Jeff Weston, a freshman from Rochester, New York, is on now to replace Nosbush. We have 3rd and 11 coming for Alabama. On 10 third down conversion situations, they've only been able to convert twice. Flanagan is in there now also, and the pass is batted and caught by the tight end Pugh, and he just has to fall down back at the 27-yard line. Eastman, the middle linebacker, forcing the play. Randy Payne, the cornerback, making the stop.
Okay, they had Billingsley, and Schumann. They were both split wide to the right side. Then they threw a screen to the tight end Pugh back to this side. It was an excellent call, except the offensive line just didn't block.
Berry will attempt the field goal from the 34, a 44-yarder. It's on the way. It is wide to the left. Really was holding. Berry misses. And we've got a timeout with 7:27 left in the 3rd quarter. Notre Dame 13, Alabama 3.
Hello, Charlie.
Hello, Doris. Doris, what's all that noise?
Oh, Charlie, I'm calling from the Midas shop. Now, hold on a second. I'm going to put on the Midas vest here.
Hello, sir. Your wife here insists that I read you our new Midas guarantee. Sir? Hello, sir?
I'm listening.
Oh, well, sir, a Midas guarantee is good on any Midas muffler we install. It's good on any American car for as long as you own it.
Tell him about the free part.
Well, yeah, right. And if anything goes wrong, we'll put in a new muffler free of charge.
Did you hear that, Charlie? Free of charge. Listen, that even includes the installation.
Yeah, but honey, there's nothing wrong with our muffler.
Well, did it come with a guarantee like Midas's?
No, but...
Well, then, there's something wrong with it.
With our new Midas guarantee, you'll never have to buy another muffler for your car. At Midas, we're specialists. We have to do a better job.
Notre Dame, with the lead 13-3, gets the football. As Alabama did not get it in after getting a break and good field position, we get word from down below that Kevin Nosbush has a twisted knee. Whether he can play anymore in the second half for Notre Dame, that would be sheer conjecture at this moment. Alabama has won 43 of its last 44 regular season games. In the last 7 tries, has been unable to win in a bowl game. Clements giving it off to Al Samuel, rolling to the right, and Samuel got a yard or two. DeBose and Robertson there to make the play for Alabama. We'll pause. 10 seconds for station identification.
This is WMAQ and WJOI-FM, Chicago.
Al Samuel, Wayne Bullock, and Ron Goodman in the backfield now with Clements. Notre Dame facing 2nd and 9 from their own 21-yard line. They're leading 13-3. Clements rolls right, throws on the run, completes it up the near sideline at the 26-yard line to Pete Demerly. Demerly hit immediately by Mike Washington. Demerly, a Dean's List student, a Rhodes Scholar candidate from New Canaan, Connecticut, had 6 touchdowns through the season, and he had 3 key catches in the Sugar Bowl. Demerly has just caught his first pass for a 4-yard gain, and it's 3rd down and 4. Notre Dame with the football at their own 26. Single setback, Bullock behind Clements. He rolls to the left, in trouble. Scrambles out at the 25. Up to the 28-yard line. Mike DeBose got a hold of him and pulled him down by the tail, and I mean the shirt tail.
And Alabama's playing tremendous defense now. They're really putting the charge on. They're not giving Clements enough time to set up on the pass patterns. They're really doing something with their defense they didn't do in the first quarter.
Punting situation on 4th down and 2. Brantley is on for Notre Dame. He's averaged 32 yards a punt. He's punted 3 times, and Willie Shelby is back. He's the single setback, and he could break things open here. The boot. A dandy. Shelby backing up. Takes it at the 27-yard line over the 30. Still on his feet. Cuts up. Gets to the outside, and is at the 35 finally, and out of bounds at the 36-yard line. And he covered a lot of territory there, I'll tell you. A 45-yard punt and just an 8-yard return. I know it must have sounded like more than that because he was turning them around. It was Samuel and Goodman there to make the play. Timeout with 5:52 remaining 3rd quarter. And Notre Dame leads Alabama 13-3.
Just when you need it more than ever, you can find it more places than ever. That's Quaker State Motor Oil. Why do you need it more? Because if you're using your car less, that engine just isn't getting the exercise it needs. But Quaker State's quality protection is tailor-made to handle deposits that build up in an underworked engine. Now that you need it more, it's available more places. Nice to know.
Quaker State your car to keep it running young.
How watched a great man die? The Iron Horse, Lou Gehrig.
I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Lou died
died of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. It killed his body one piece at a time. There still is no cure for Lou Gehrig's disease. Thousands of people get it, and anyone who gets it is dead. Help stop ALS, friends.
Give to ALS, Box 3344, Grand Central Station, New York.
More word from the Notre Dame bench. Torn ligaments. Kevin Nosbush will not see any more action. First and 10 to go for Alabama. It is Todd throwing at the 35-yard line. The pass at the 35 intended for Ozzie Newsome. Richard Todd. Good throw. Newsome had it momentarily, but not long enough. Reggie Barnett was back there and helped knock the ball away. Looking at Alabama now, they have Todd at quarterback, Stock, Taylor, and Culliver in that wishbone backfield. You were talking to Paul a moment ago about the way Alabama's played defense in the second half. Notre Dame does not have a first down.
Well, you know, and let's get away back to the offense for a second. You know, I talked about it just being a rushing offense, and they're coming out with great pass patterns off this wishbone. We'll get back for a second.
Comes to Stock, and Stock is in trouble. And he goes down back at the 27-yard line. It was John Dubinetsky who made the play. Dubinetsky, a sophomore from Hobart, Indiana, hometown of Bobby Kuchenberg, who plays right here for the Miami Dolphins.
And what I was saying about the passing, getting back to it, is that Todd and Rutledge have both been on target with their passes. A lot of these passes have been dropped. A few good catches, and Alabama would be back in his ball game.
Alabama down 13-3, now facing a 3rd and 19. A loss of 10 on that last play. Culliver, Billingsley, and Shelby now in the wishbone with Todd. Todd fades. He throws, and it is over the head of Ozzie Newsome at the 47-yard line. Newsome had a step or two on Payne. The pass was a little too long, and Alabama will have to give up the football with 4:59 remaining in the third quarter. Rod Nelson coming on to do the punting. Nelson has punted 4 times for a 41-yard average. It'll be Ted Bergmeyer along with Randy Harrison dropping back. High punt. Fair catch called for. 31-yard line. Randy Harrison gathers it in, and Notre Dame will take it from that point. The Fighting Irish at the moment leading a 41-yard punt that time as we have 4:51 remaining in the third quarter. Don't forget here on NBC, January 12th, Super Bowl IX with the Steelers and the Vikings from Tulane Stadium in New Orleans, 2:45 Eastern Time. NBC Radio's complete coverage of Super Bowl IX.
You said that Notre Dame, they don't have a first down in this second half so far. They came out running at the left side of the Alabama line, their right side, but Alabama seems to have made a great adjustment at halftime.
Clements swings it out to the right side to the halfback, and it is Goodman throwing downfield, intercepted. Ricky Davis. Let me recreate that one for you. Tom Clements.
I wish you would.
Handed it off to Goodman. Goodman rolling to the right through the halfback pass, intended it for Pete Demerly. Coming up with the interception, the senior from Bessemer, Alabama, who led the Tide in interceptions with 6, Ricky Davis. And Alabama has it back now and will take it at their own 47-yard line. That didn't take long.
At first I thought it was going to be a screen pass out here to Goodman, but it wasn't. He just took the ball, stopped, but the play took too long, and Ricky Davis did a great job.
Shamoon, the wide receiver, set to the right side. And it is Gary Rutledge handing it over to Culliver, and he goes straight ahead to the 49-yard line. Where number 74 there, Jeff Weston, made the tackle. Mike Fanning is also there. It is now Weston and Fanning at the tackles. Niehaus and Stock are at the ends. Weston is spelling Kevin Nosbush, who has that injury. Calvin Culliver, 9 carries, 46 yards. The clock running with 4 minutes, 10 seconds left to play in the third quarter. Notre Dame is leading 13-3. Rush Shamoon set wide to the right. They've got a slot back there, and they put Shelby in motion to the right. And the pass is out to Shelby, and he can't handle it. Well, we're seeing Alabama use a lot of motion. They're slotting a man on that occasion. And, Paul, they obviously feel they're going to have to throw the football to win here.
And that time, Rutledge just didn't get the ball out to Willie Shelby. He was wide open in that. If he'd have gotten to that secondary, because Drew Mihalik, the linebacker, didn't cover him, and all Rutledge had to do was get the ball to Shelby, and he'd have been gone.
3rd down and 9. On the 3rd down situations, out of 12 situations, Alabama has converted just 2. Here they are again, 3rd down and 9. Rutledge straight back. The throw downfield. Oh, he had a man. He looked like he threw that one up for grabs. And it was Shamoon who got behind the defender but was backpedaling. The pass was thrown to his left. As he tried to go for it, he fell down. And that looked like a blooper ball.
I thought it was a jump ball. That was unbelievable. He threw the same pass to Shamoon again that he threw before that almost got him killed.
All right, Nelson will come on to do the punting for Alabama. Bergmeyer and Harrison downfield for Notre Dame. A scoreless 3rd period. The left-footed kicker gets it away. Fair catch called for. And at the 15-yard line, it is Randy Harrison who took it. And Notre Dame will operate from their own 15 after that 37-yard punt with 3 minutes and 46 seconds remaining to be played in the 3rd quarter.
We talked at the beginning about what a great defensive football game this is going to be, and it's really turned out to be in the second half.
The defense has certainly dominated to this point. Now Notre Dame goes to the 2 tight ends. Robin Weber, he's the junior from Dallas, Texas Jesuit. Ken McAfee, the big 6'5" freshman from Brockton, Mass. His dad, Ken, played at Alabama, of course, and was an end with the New York Giants, a fine one. Clements has Pennick, Samuel, and Bullock back there with him. They've got the double wing situation again, and the give is to Bullock. He tries right guard. He's had some success there running over DiNardo and Sylvester, but not this time. Maybe a yard or 2. Let's see where they'll mark it. Hanna makes the stop. The Hannas of Alabama. What a clan they are. And this was Charlie Hanna, who's playing at right tackle. A sophomore from Albertville, Alabama. His brother, former All-American, of course, John Hanna, and a great one now with the New England Patriots. Clock running, 3:15 to go, 3rd period. 2nd down and 8. Bullock getting the call. Might have gotten the yard. Alabama's Mike DuBose, along with Montgomery, the left end and middle guard, making the stop.
And we're seeing quite a bit of that double tight end, double wing formation where the 2 backs get out on the wide part of the tight ends. And what happens when you have Bullock in the backfield by himself, if there's no motion coming back into the backfield, there's only 2 things that Clements could do. He can either hand the ball to Bullock or keep it and throw the ball.
3rd and 7, the pitch back to the man in motion, Samuel. And he got to the 21-yard line where Mike Washington makes a fine play. Paul, the Tide is very tough on defense here in the 3rd period. Clock running with 2 minutes, 25 seconds remaining, 3rd quarter. Irish leading 13-3. Punting situation for Notre Dame, 4th and 5.
And if you're watching these 2 teams and take a look at both defenses, you know that the break is going to come with the defense. It's going to be a turnaround where the defense is going to take the ball for a score.
Brantley will do the punting for Notre Dame. Shelby is the single set back to the right. Short kick. Shelby lets it bounce in front of him, and it comes down, takes a good Notre Dame bounce, and goes out of bounds at the 33-yard line. Alabama will operate from their own 33, and they send on the junior from Mobile, Alabama, Richard Todd. He'll do the quarterbacking, a 47-yard punt, and he got a lot of help on the roll. Willie Shelby at left half, Randy Billingsley at right half, and Calvin Culliver is the fullback in Bear Bryant's wishbone offense that tonight has been held to just 3 points here as we are nearly through 3 periods of play in Orange Bowl 75. Todd fades the pass. He throws and has a man at the 45-yard line, Ozzie Newsome. Newsome, the split end to the right side, covered on the play by Barnett. Good pass rush by Jim Stock, who is the lightest of the front four for Notre Dame. At right end, just 214 pounds, a junior.
You know, and it's a tough job. Reggie Barnett at 5'11", covering Newsom, who is 6'4". And Newsom is just turning him every way he wants to turn him, and all they have to do is get the ball to him.
Newsom comes to the left side this time. It is 1st and 10 at the 45 for Alabama. Sideline right, open field to the left. Long count by Todd. The give as Todd, that time called on Culliver, the big fullback. He got to the 48-yard line, where Stock of Notre Dame, with help from middle linebacker Tom Easton, stalled him.
And the thing that keeps coming into my mind, Jay, is Billy Vessel's talking about they still haven't used their speed.
Ozzie Newsom goes to the left side. Again, it's Todd using a long count. 2nd and 7. Todd keeps, pitches back, gives it to Billingsley. He's across the 50 and short of the first down as he got to the 46-yard line of Notre Dame. Randy Payne, the halfback, who made the transition from offense, a junior from Palmer Park, Maryland, went to Largo High School there. He was there to make the play. Well, a very important 3rd and 3 coming here. And Rush Shamoon back in at the split end spot for the Tide, replacing Nelson. The ball at the hash mark on the near side, so Alabama comes out right to left. They have sideline to their right, open field to the left side. And in motion is Culliver to the right side, out of the wishbone. And the throw is incomplete, up the middle. They were trying to go to the tight end, George Pugh, the junior. He's from Montgomery. Randy Harrison in the zone covering for Notre Dame. And just 4 seconds remaining in this 3rd quarter that has been scoreless. On 3rd down situations, Alabama, 13 3rd down situations and only 2 successful in this football game. To do the punting, Rod Nelson. His longest during the regular season was 54 yards. Single setback this time for Notre Dame, Randy Harrison. Goes for the sidelines, but doesn't get it, or does he? It's down at about the 8-yard line, just before the ball went out of bounds. Downfield to make a fine play. Mark Prudhomme, the junior from Memphis, Tennessee. 40-yard punt. That's the end of the 3rd quarter. Here in the Orange Bowl in Miami, it is Notre Dame 13, Alabama 3.
Today we're driving the big family car less as we use our gas-saving small car more. Now, an underused car doesn't always get enough exercise to eliminate harmful engine deposits, so it needs quality protection, like Quaker State Motor Oil, made to protect against harmful deposits. Quaker State is now available more places than ever. It's one good thing we don't have to give up.
Quaker State, your car to keep it running young.
Well, that's remarkable.
It is, isn't it?
You've never had an accident?
No, I haven't.
In your car?
No.
On the job, stub your finger?
Never.
Maybe. Around the house, little paper cut?
0 accidents in my lifetime.
Wow, you must make sure every place is very safe.
No, I don't even think about safety.
Not at all?
No. Say, I've got to go now. Could you hold the door open for me?
On this packing crate?
Sanitized packing crate.
You live here?
All my life. Bye.
If you don't like thinking about safety, think about where you'd be without it.
Well, there's no more room in here.
A public service message from the National Safety Council.
With Paul McGuire, this is Jay Randolph, and we head into the final 15 minutes of this 41st Orange Bowl Classic. Notre Dame did not have a first down in the 3rd quarter. The Irish, though, leading 13-3. That was the halftime score as we played a scoreless 3rd period. Notre Dame 1st and 10 to go, the ball at their own 8-yard line. They'll move right to left in the 4th period. In motion, Al Samuel to the right side. The kick goes to Samuel, and he is out to the 17 to the 18-yard line. Mike Washington making the stop. Very close to a first down. They may want to measure. It is a first down. So the fine run by Samuel helps to get Notre Dame out of have a little trouble.
In the time that they needed a first down, they came up with it because they had their backs to the wall. They were down on their own 8-yard line.
Alabama hasn't won a bowl game since it smashed Nebraska 34-7 in the Sugar Bowl, January 2nd of 67. McAfee split wide to the right side. Clemens gives to Bullock. And Bullock is across the 20 to the 22-yard line, where Leroy Cook, the top tackler for the Tide, 81 during the regular season, made the play. The clock is running, 14 minutes, 20 seconds to go. The Irish holding on to a 13-3 advantage. The underdogs in this game. Alabama, number 1 in the UPI poll, second in the AP. This time for Notre Dame, up across the 25 to the 30 is Bullock. And a first down. Or check it was Al Samuel. Samuel carrying the football. Got a good block from DiNardo, who's done a great job at right guard tonight for Notre Dame. Ricky Davis made the stop. Another first down. Notre Dame has it at the 32, and they come out really clawing here in the fourth period. Samuel now 10 carries, 41 yards.
Notre Dame continues to run to their right, to Alabama's defensive left, and I keep saying it, but I venture to say that 90% of the plays that Notre Dame ran tonight have been to their right side.
This time it is Mark McLean. McLean gets over the 35 to the 38-yard line. Mike DeVos making the tackle. That time they sent Samuel in motion to the left, gave it to McLean countering back.
DeVos was shaken up on that last play.
Notre Dame with a long, sustained drive here would really do some damage time-wise. DeVos went out of the football game, shaken up. Here is Bullock over the 45 to the 49-yard line, and that offensive line of the Irish, Wojciak, Cleves, and DiNardo really doing a job now. Leroy Cook making the tackle. Dick Turpin, the junior from Birmingham, has replaced DeVos at left end for Alabama.
And this is where that size now starts to take its toll on Alabama. The bigger men, the bigger offensive line after the defensive line, the smaller defensive line of Alabama, they're just blowing them right off the ball.
First and 10 for Notre Dame, their own 49-yard line. McLean across the 50 and into the Tide's territory at the 48-yard line. Leroy Cook making the stop for Alabama. The clock running now with 12 minutes and 25 seconds left in this game. Notre Dame leading 13-3. All the scoring coming in the first half. Now, Paul, a loss for Alabama, I guess, would really throw the number 1 ranking situation into the cockpit here. Ohio State was beaten 18-17 today. Mark McLean really racked by Leroy Cook. Cook put the clamps on him at the 49-yard line. They're hitting.
I'll tell you what, that time Leroy Cook, it didn't make any difference who had the football as long as it was McLean, because he was going after McLean and had no eyes for anyone else.
11 minutes and 40 seconds left to go, and the clock is running here in the Orange Bowl. It is third down and 8 for Notre Dame. The ball at the Alabama 49-yard line. Ron Goodman now with Samuel and Bullock. Out wide to the right goes Goodman. They have a slot back set left, and Clemens wants to throw. He's in trouble. He gets it away. It is complete at the 41-yard line on the near side. And I'll have to wait till the receiver gets up because there's such a crowd around him. I don't know who it was. It is very close to a first down. And it was Pete Demerly.
Demerly, yes.
And Demerly is down. Woody Lowe, the weak side linebacker for Alabama, made the stop. Demerly had to come back upfield to take this pass. Clements did a remarkable job of getting it away. And coming in to make the play, and a tough hit it was, Woodrow Lowe. We've got a timeout right now, 11-11 left on the clock in this game. Orange Bowl 75, Alabama 13, or Alabama and Notre Dame 13.
Some people ask you to wait an hour or two to have a muffler installed. Some may even ask you to wait all day. That's a waste of time. Because at Midas, we're geared to replace a muffler in 30 minutes or less, which is faster than any other place in town, for a very simple reason. Any other place installs mufflers as a sideline. At Midas, we do it for a living. We have to do a better job. Usually, the better the job, the more it costs. So, naturally, you figure Midas will charge you more than most places. But see for yourself. Look us up in the yellow pages and give us a call. Call the other places. We think you'll find that all things considered, we give you a better deal. We have to. Our business depends on it. Midas. We install mufflers for a living. We have to do a better job.
And comes off. All right. Demerly has caught 2 passes for 11 yards. Ball there just short of the first down here. The ball resting at the 41-yard line, and it's going to be 4th down, less than a yard.
And here's a situation, Jay, even though I as a coach of Notre Dame, looking at my team, we're moving the football, I would still hunt the ball away or a yard away and put them in the hole.
Going to go for it. The single setback. Bullock gets the football, and he's got the first down. Paul Bullock has done everything they've asked him to on the key situations tonight. Clements to Bullock. First down, 39-yard line.
That's amazing to me because Alabama knows that Bullock's going to take the football. He's the only man that Notre Dame gives the ball to in the short yardage situations.
81 yards on 22 carries for Bullock. It is Parise, McLean, and Samuel in the Notre Dame backfield with Tom Clements. In motion, McLean to the near sideline, getting the football, and he cracks down to the 35 where Charles Hanna makes the stop. Last year's 24-23 Sugar Bowl victory for the national championship, was the first meeting between Notre Dame and Alabama. This season, the Irish assuming the spoilers role, and right now they're playing that role to the hilt here in the 4th period with 10:10 remaining. Second down and 5. The ball at the Alabama 35. In motion, Samuel to the right side. Clements giving it to Parise. Parise is a junior from Longmont, Colorado. Fine runner. He made good progress. Ronnie Robertson making the tackle at the 30-yard line.
And Jay Parsons, you said the only thing different about the Alabama team this year than a year ago was the fact that he felt that they had a much better defense than they had a year ago. Their offense is basically the same, but their defense was much better. But yet, Notre Dame is doing, in this 4th period, everything that they want to do against Alabama.
3rd and 1. Giving it this time to Parise. I don't know if he got enough forward progress for the first down or not. I don't believe he did. Mike Washington shoved him back. They're going to place the ball at the 30-yard line, and they are just short again of a first down by less than half a yard. Parise gained over 100 yards against the Air Force Academy. He has a fine rushing average of 5.2. Well, here's a big play. 4th and less than a yard. It's Parise, Samuel, and McLean. And Parise is the single setback behind Clements. Parise gets it. I don't know.
He didn't make it, Jay. He did not make it.
Well, it's going to depend where he put it down, but Paul, I think you're right. It was Woody Lowe who made the big play, the weak side linebacker, and Alabama holds and drops the stride.
And again, I don't understand the formation by by Notre Dame. They take two tight ends. They take their two backs and split them to the outside, and they only have one man in the backfield, which was Parise. You know he's the only man that can carry the football.
Unless Clemens is going to call his own number. But you're right.
But they're still both in the middle of the field.
Straight
and it's
up.
got to come from right there. Either Clemens takes it on the quarterback sneak, or he takes it and he hands it right off to Parise.
Alabama has the football. 8:28 remaining in this game. The Irish leading 13-3. And we'll take a timeout. It's Notre Dame 13, Alabama 3.
We're going to take a lot of trips this season. To stores.
To school.
Out to the swimming pool. To the dentist. To the market. We will take our car and park it.
Short trips never give your car a chance to warm up and eliminate engine-damaging deposits. Short trips call for Quaker State Motor Oil. It gives quality protection against these harmful deposits. And now when we need it more than ever, you can find it more places than ever.
Quaker State your car. To keep it running young.
Be prepared.
Are you ready to get started?
Be prepared.
Are you ready to take the lead?
You know, you can help a lot of boys be prepared by being a leader in scouting. I mean, scouting today is a lot more than you think.
Be prepared.
Are you ready to get started?
Be prepared.
Are you ready to take the lead? 'Cause if you ain't gonna help, teach our sons to be prepared.
Notre Dame retained possession for 14 plays and marched 62 yards before giving it up. There's 8:28 remaining in this game. I would guess that Bullock, who's been fighting that influenza, was given a little rest there. All right, here's Alabama, and they give to Shelby. Shelby gets to the 35-yard line before Drew Mahalik makes the stop. Alabama will have to hurry. The clock is running with 8:15 to go in this game. Richard Todd is quarterbacking the Crimson Tide. Shelby, Taylor, and Culliver operating in the wishbone with him. Sideline to the left, open field to the right, second down. Todd throwing up the middle. It is complete to Ozzie Newsome. The split end who was set to the right side. Newsome at midfield, first down. Making the stop for Notre Dame was Randy Payne, the defensive halfback on the right side. Randy Harrison, the free safety, also there, a pickup of 16 yards. First and 10 to go. The ball squarely at the midfield stripe. With the football, it's Culliver. Across the 40-yard line and down to the 38. Another first down. Alabama on the move. They're driving left to right. It was Payne and Harrison who made the tackle.
And a tough thing for me to get used to after doing pros all these years is to sit back and take a look at every time there's a first down, the clock stops. It only stops till they mark the ball to move the change, but the clock does stop.
And the clock running now with 7.5 minutes to play. Newsome wide to the right, sideline left. Todd wants to throw. He throws, and it is complete. Oh, that's a super catch at the 25-yard line. I had to wait and see, Paul. I thought he might have trapped it. Ozzie Newsome took it right off his shoe tops. This is a fine catch to keep this drive moving.
And I'll tell you something, Ozzie Newsome, I'm just waiting for him to run that little break and go on Barnett, because he's got Barnett doing everything that he wants him to do. He can do anything he wants in that downfield.
Newsome is out. Shamoon is in. Todd to Shamoon. Got him at the 12-yard line. The other split end, Shamoon. And another first down. Shamoon is stopped by Randy Payne and Randy Harrison.
You know, we talk about the quick Alabama team, and now we're really seeing it. It's amazing. I watch these guys. They're half the size to me of Notre Dame, and they're just moving them all over the field.
First down at the 12-yard line. Shamoon is set to the right side. Fumble. Todd. He covers it. Back at the 13-yard line. Todd has driven this Alabama club down, where they're now in the shadow of that goal, and they need to score quickly. 6 minutes, 45 seconds remaining in this game. Notre Dame has the lead 13-3. Bear Bryant looking all on the far side, talking with his assistant coaches. Ara Parsegian right below us in his staff. Todd fades to pass. He throws.
totally new automotive experience. The new small Chrysler. Cordova. Crafted in the Chrysler tradition of engineering excellence. An automobile of beauty and harmony. Cordova is Chrysler convenience and Chrysler luxury. Rich textures and rare comforts surround you. The soft warmth of glowing lamps. Thickly cushioned contour seating, which may even be ordered in fine Corinthian leather. This is Cordova. We invite you to experience this new Chrysler Cordova. So very luxurious, and yet surprisingly affordable. Cordova. The new small Chrysler.
With 6:23 remaining in the game, Notre Dame has the football. They lead 13-3. The interception by Dubinevsky as Alabama appeared to be ready to score.
Jay had Shamoon going across the middle, and Todd faked. If he would have held that fake, that one more pop, Shamoon would have cleared. But he threw the ball right into Dubinevsky, who had made a great play. It was right there, a one-handed catch to save the touchdown.
Sideline to the left, open field to the right for Notre Dame. In motion, that's McLean to the left side. And it is Tom Clements, the quarterback, keeping and going straight ahead where Gus White, the middle guard, makes the tackle for Alabama. Auburn gained more yards rushing against Alabama this season than any other team, 228. Notre Dame, to this point, has 184. Second down and 6 coming. Notre Dame with a football at their own 30-yard line. McLean out on the wing right. He comes in motion. It goes to Wayne Bullock, who is back in there. Bullock, who's had a terrific night for a kid who's been battling influenza off and on for the last 2 weeks. Top rusher last 2 years, the top scorer this year with 12 touchdowns for the Fighting Irish, and the man who first scored in this game at 6:41 of the first quarter. Well, it's 3rd and 4 now. Here's a big play for Notre Dame if they want to keep that clock running in their favor. Clements wants to throw. Down he goes, back at the 20-yard line, and it was Leroy Cook, who has possibly been the outstanding lineman for the Crimson Tide here this evening.
This Leroy Cook has played a fantastic ball game, and I'll tell you, when he makes up his mind that he's going to the backfield, no one's going to stop him. He gets in the backfield. He made tackles on McLean. He's gotten to Demmerling downfield, covering, and he's also gotten to Clements.
Brantley will have to punt for Notre Dame. 4:43 left in the game. Willie Shelby set to receive. It's a fine punt. Shelby backing up, takes it at the 37. Up, he comes to the 40. Cuts in the middle at the 45, gets to the 47-yard line. Shelby on the return, on the tackle. Pete Johnson, a freshman from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, who's done a nice job on the specialty units. A 43-yard punt and a 10-yard return. Alabama will get the football at their own 47-yard line. 4 minutes and 29 seconds remaining in this game. Well, certainly while I have the opportunity, Paul, I would like to thank all of the great folks here at the Orange Bowl for just giving us so much help and a wonderful week it has been. To President Dr. Rentz, the Orange Bowl Committee, and our old friends Ben Benjamin and Stuart Patton, Jack Baldwin, Billy Vessels, who joined us here at halftime. A great show and a great game. The Orange Bowl and the Orange Bowl Committee, a fabulous group of people, and I know that you and your missus have enjoyed your week here, your first Orange Bowl.
Oh, it's been a fantastic experience for me. The ball the other night was just fantastic. I never really experienced anything like that in my life. And they go through great pains to put this thing on. And the amazing thing about the Orange Bowl Committee, all the men that are involved in this thing, they pay for their own tickets and they pay to go to the ball, and it's a fantastic thing.
With 4:29 left, Notre Dame leading 13-3. First and 10 for Alabama. throws it out into the left flat. He gets it out there to Newsom. He breaks away, gets to the 50, and down to the 49-yard line. May have gotten to the 48. We'll wait till they unravel him over there. Tom Eastman was the first man to get there, the middle linebacker who came out to the right. They're going to place the ball at the 49-yard line in Notre Dame territory. Brown goes out and Pugh comes in. Alabama's been rotating the tight ends quite a bit with plays. Todd is at quarterback. Newsom is split wide to the right, 2nd and 6. Todd throws. Billingsley going out to the right side, hit by Dumanetsky, who made the big interception a few minutes ago and has played himself a dandy football game here.
It's amazing watching these people, the amount of ground that the defensive backs cover in this game, both Alabama and Notre Dame.
3 minutes, 25 seconds left in the game. Todd fades the pass. He throws and had to rush and underthrows his intended receiver, Ozzie Newsom. Randy Payne was covering over there. 71,801 are here paid tonight. The game, a sellout. This stadium seats 80,010. And, of course, there are a couple thousand youngsters and band members and a lot of other people on hand here tonight. Very few no-shows here. And I can't blame them. It's been a good one. Rush Shamoon, the split end, wide to the left. And it's 4th and 5. And they're going to go here, and they go to Shamoon, and he's got it! 20, the 15, the 10, 5. Touchdown, Alabama! Shamoon on the far sideline, turned it up. And beat the halfback over there, Randy Payne.
And a brand new football game, Jay.
Rush Shamoon, the sophomore from Napa, California, 48 yards on the touchdown.
And the only problem in that play right there by Randy Payne is he went for the interception and not for the man. Just let him catch the ball, but stop him from the touchdown. He made the big mistake. Cost them 6 points.
Oh, Alabama will go for 2. If they get it, a field goal could win the game for them. It's 13-9. The Irish lead. 3:13 to play in the game. Let's watch them now as they come out and go for 2 with Todd at quarterback. Todd fades the pass. He throws. And it is complete to the tight end, George Pugh. And what a save Pugh made. He was driving toward the flag on the far side. And it is now 13-11. And don't go away.
What a catch that man made.
Very quickly, Alabama back in the picture here. And a tremendous play by the tight end, George Pugh, on the 2-pointer. After the 48-yard touchdown pass from Todd to Shamoon, Todd comes back to the tight end, Pugh. They get the big play, and it's 13-11.
The most amazing thing about the catch, though, Jay, was his body was extended completely, his arms out, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to see when the man hits the ground, the ball's going to hit him, he's going to drop the football, but he held on. When he hit the ground, great concentration, good hands, good hands.
When he took that ball, Paul, he looked like the limb of a tree hanging there, I'll tell you.
Certainly did.
Bucky Berry will kick off from left to right for Alabama. Al Samuel to the far side. Ron Goodman to the near side. Let's see if they go with the onside kick. No, they don't. Downfield at the 10-yard line. Al Samuel at the 15, the 20. Gets it up to the 24-yard line. That was Ron Goodman on the return, excuse me, and not Samuel. And there to make the tackle for Alabama, Dick Turpin.
This is going to be the longest 3 minutes and 8 seconds that Notre Dame ever played in a football game. I can tell you that right now.
The Irish have a 2-point lead. Remaining. Now Alabama's defense once again has to hold. They need the football. Aaron Parsegian pacing nervously now down below him.
Alabama, there's really no sense in throwing the ball now.
The clock stopped with 3:04 remaining. Alabama has scored its first touchdown in the game, went for two and got it. It's a 13-11 game after a scoreless third quarter. It was 13-3 at halftime, Notre Dame. Second down and 10. Notre Dame from their own 25-yard line. Clements rolling to the near sideline and keeping at the 25, away at the 30, and out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Bob Baumhauer, a sophomore from Tuscaloosa, making the tackle. Clock stopped with 2 minutes and 58 seconds remaining here.
If he doesn't have a first down here, he only missed it by at least an inch.
They're going to bring the chains all the way across the field to the near side where the ball is spotted. This has been a game relatively free of penalties, just a couple. Two fine football teams have given us a great show, and Notre Dame comes up short of the first down by about 6 inches.
You know, it's amazing, the hard-hitting football game that we're watching right now, and they are really relatively free of penalties. It's a credit to both of these fine schools.
Notre Dame now has Frank Alaco at quarterback. Clements may have been shaken up on that run up the near sideline. Alaco is a senior from New Providence, New Jersey. Hard worker and honor student. Third down, a little less than a yard. Alaco tipped it to Bullock. Single setback, and I don't know if he made it or not. I think he got it, but we're going to have to wait on the pilot.
And again, they went back to that formation with the single back in the backfield. They got the first down, but it's a tough formation for me to realize.
They really challenge you. They let you know what they're going to do, and then they do it for the most part. Bullock has done it just about every time they've asked him tonight. Alabama calls timeout. 2:53 remaining. Well, certainly at this point of what has been the wonderful football game with the Irish leading 13-11, we'd like to thank Bear Bryant and his staff, Charlie Thornton, Assistant Athletic Director, and his fine staff for all the help they've given to Paul and yours truly here this week, and to the Notre Dame folks. Eric Artesian in his last game at Notre Dame after a brilliant career of 11 years. His staff, Moose Krause, their athletic director, and of course Roger Baldessari, their fine sports information director. We're grateful to all of these people who have made our job so much easier here tonight. Each team has 15 first downs in this game. We have 2 minutes, 53 seconds left to play. The Irish are leading 13-11.
You know, it's only my fourth year doing broadcasting with NBC, and I've always wondered why everybody talked about it. You especially talked about going to the Orange Bowl. What a thrill it is to come down here. And now I finally realize what it's all about. And guys like Billy Vessel, who makes this thing possible, it's a fantastic thing, and my wife and I have really enjoyed this. We've had a great vacation.
It's a little something extra, and it's not over yet. 2:53 to go. In motion, Samuel to the right side. And the handoff to Bullock. Bullock across the 30 to the 37, where Bob Baumhauer makes the stop for Alabama. Timeout, Alabama, with 2:43 remaining. That, I believe, will leave them with one timeout remaining in the second half. Total yardage in the game, Alabama 293, Notre Dame 192. 2:43 remaining. Well, we're thanking folks. Our thanks to our spotter, Tom McHale, Notre Dame, and to John Ferry, who works with the Alabama Radio Network, who has spotted the Crimson Tide for us tonight, and to our statistician, Dan Baker, Philadelphia. Total rushing, net yards for Notre Dame, 200. It's been a big night for them. Bear Bryant now is talking things over across the way with Ricky Davis, one of his defensive men. They've discussed things. We have second down and 8 coming for Notre Dame. The ball at their own 37-yard line.
The very loses this game, he might not want to go to another bowl. That'll be what, 7 in a row and 1 time, 8 times?
I want you to tell the story of that proclamation for the governor the other day. Governor Wallace was here. Mark McLean over the 35-yard line to the 37. Leroy Cook again. What a game Cook has played. This fellow's a tremendous prospect and just a junior. Abbeville, Alabama, his hometown.
Excuse me, Jay, if we're going to have to pick a defensive player in this football game, I would have to say it was Leroy Cook for the fine job he's done today. He's an outstanding football player. He is extremely quick. He's got great lateral movement. When he makes his mind up, he's going, he's gone.
Well, and if Alabama loses this game, it will probably be a defensive strong safety, John Dubinetsky, that gets a lot of credit because of that interception a few moments ago. 3rd and 8 for Notre Dame. Clemens, or Chekalako, who is there for Clemens now, goes down back at the 30-yard line, and Randy Hall was the man who makes the play. Alabama uses its last timeout. 1 minute and 50 seconds left to go in this game. The 41st annual Orange Bowl game. Football's glamored game, and it is a goodie tonight.
I don't know how many times Notre Dame has punted tonight, but I know that at least 3 times, they've punted 6 times, our statistician says. At least 3 times Alabama had the rush on, but I don't think that Alabama will rush in this time to take a chance of roughing the punter.
That would take them out of it because they have no timeouts left. They've got to be careful.
And especially when you have a man like Willie Shelby in the back there returning punts, this man could break this game wide open.
Notre Dame is leading here, 13-11. We have 1 minute 50 seconds remaining in this game. Notre Dame is facing 4th and 14. Notre Dame will have their punter, Tony Brantley, a junior from Oklahoma City, who hangs them high to punt this football.
Bear Bryant has Richard Todd as quarterback on the sidelines, and I guarantee they've got their offense together, and they've called at least 2 or 3 plays already.
Brantley with a 38-yard average. Shelby back to receive the punt. It's away. Shelby coming up at the 32. He's got it. Shelby looking for a block at the 35, 37, 38-yard line. And that's where Alabama will get it with 1 minute and 39 seconds left. For Notre Dame, Doug Becker making the stop on Shelby.
I think the biggest thing to keep in mind here, Jay, is the fact that Alabama does not have a timeout left.
The Irish lead, 13-11. A 37-yard punt, a 6-yard return. It is Todd who throws, and it's Shamoon. Shamoon is out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Timeout with 1:32 left to go as Shamoon went out of bounds to stop the clock over there.
And that time he beat Randy Payne. And what's happening, I still can't believe that Notre Dame they're single covering the only wide receiver that Alabama puts out, whether it's Shamoon or Newsom.
Can Alabama come from behind and pull it off? A 16-yard gain. Todd throws it out to the right side. It is Billingsley. He is out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Clock stops with 1 minute and 21 seconds remaining. And over there again, it was the quarterback. It's now Lipinski who is in there. Tom Lipinski, a junior from Akron, Ohio, who ran him out.
I'll tell you, Todd made one fantastic play that time, getting the ball to Randy Billingsley, because the fake action, he turned completely around, and Newsom almost had him. He just dumped the ball off to Billingsley. Great play.
Todd fades the pass, has time, he throws it. Barnett at the 40-yard line, out of bounds at the 45 to stop the clock with 1:08. Barnett, the big interception in the Sugar Bowl a year ago. 9.8 speed, very experienced senior from Central High School in Flint, Michigan. He comes off with the football in his hand, congratulated by Eric Verseegen, the defensive coaches.
And if there were two bad passes that Todd threw. One, Dubineski intercepted, in this last one right here with Barnett.
And quarterback Frank Alaco falls on the football. And we have 1 minute to play in the game.
The reason I say that was a bad pass because Barnett was playing short. And Todd, instead of throwing the ball, he was throwing to Shamoon going to the outside. Instead of throwing the ball over his head and out of bounds because he was covered, he threw the ball short.
Shamoon has caught 5 passes for 124 yards. Alaco again falls down with the football, and we're inside the 30-second mark. Well, this is some night for Ara Parseghian. His hands high above his head, down below us in the gold and blue of Notre Dame, coaching his last game for the Fighting Irish, beating the undefeated Alabama Crimson Tide. 9 seconds. Let's listen to them count it down. The Irish 13, Alabama 11. There it is. Ara Parseghian lifted onto the shoulders of his players below it. He gets the victory ride across the way. Bear Bryant, who has seen his undefeated club beaten here by Notre Dame. The final, Notre Dame 13, Alabama 11.
Morning, Mr. Green. Say, haven't seen this big car in a spell. Nowadays, Caleb, we use our small car mostly. You know, this big engine might not be getting the exercise it needs. Exercise? Yup, to get rid of harmful engine deposits. Make sure you're using Quaker State motor oil. It's fortified to fight deposit buildup. Is Quaker State still available in most places? Yup, but people need it now more than ever.
Quaker State your car to keep it running young.
Young I may be, but still I'm a man. Just turned 18. I'll do what I can to find me a place where I can be me. Get ready for life, be free as the sea. So where do I go from here? Where do I go from here?
You can be someone special in the new Navy. Learn an exciting job and see the world, too. Call toll-free 800-841-8000 for details.
The Irish fans are celebrating as euphoria hits them here as they upend Alabama 13-11. Bear Bryant now heading off. He has seen his team lose here tonight 13-11. Last year it was a 24-23 victory for Notre Dame. Tonight, a 13-11 victory. A year ago, it was the Sugar Bowl. Tonight, the Orange Bowl victory for the Fighting Irish, who will end this season with a record of 10-2, Alabama 11-1, and what a great way for a great football coach, Ara Parseghian, to go out.
It certainly is, Jay. The thing that comes to my mind was the Orange Bowl luncheon, the press luncheon we went to on Monday. When Bear Bryant got up to talk, and he was talking about his football team and about the coaching of Ara Parseghian, he said that when a team wins like 54-10 and it has a runaway, the players did it, which is understandable. They go out and they score whenever they want to do it. The players do it. He said last year's 24-23 Sugar Bowl victory that Notre Dame had over Alabama, then it becomes a coaching thing. In essence, he said he was out-coached more or less by Ara Parseghian. And again tonight, I think he's going to have that same thing that thought goes through his mind. His boys did about as much as they possibly could do.
I'm sure he's very proud of them, too.
Oh, he certainly is. There's no question about it. And I guarantee you the man that will take the blame for this defeat, knowing the kind of a coach he is, the wonderful human being that Paul Bear Bryant is, he will say that it was my fault and I just didn't give them enough of the coaching that they needed.
Paul, let me recap the scoring. In the first quarter with 6:41 remaining, Wayne Bullock 4 yards out. Reed kicked the point after was 7-0. In the second quarter, 8:29 remaining, Mark McLean, an 8-yard run for Notre Dame. The point after was missed. Notre Dame 13, Alabama nothing. And then Alabama got a Danny Ridgway field goal from 21 yards out with 1:45 remaining. And at halftime, it was 13-3. We played through a real hard-hitting third quarter that was scoreless. In the fourth quarter, Alabama's Rush Shamoon, a 48-yard pass from Todd. They went for the 2. Todd hit the tight end Pugh, and it was 13-11. The 2 interceptions for Notre Dame coming from Dubinsky and from Barnett. They were very big keys defensively, no question about that. Well, Paul, I can only say that it has been great fun working this one with you. And I want to thank everybody who has helped us here, and I hope we can do it again.
Well, Jay, I say, if we get the opportunity to come back again next year, I am really looking forward to it because it's been a fabulous experience for me, something I'll never forget.
Tonight's game has been engineered by Gene Ryder, produced by Ed Smith. And now this is Jay Randolph, along with Paul McGuire from the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida, reminding you the final score again was the Irish 13, Alabama 11.